Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Super Old Game Saturday on Friday. So it's Super Old Game almost Saturday, but we're also going to have a Saturday show as it is this week. Yeah, we're off last week. Had a good break off, but I did give you some content as far as our YouTube site. But for this weekend, I got two shows for your, in this case, twice weekly stop for classic gaming goodness. So here's what we're going to do. Tonight, we're going to be playing one of the first of two games that are going to close out our Super Old Game Saturday Second Chance initiative for this year. As mentioned, this entire year, since we've been doing this show for about 5 years now, a little over now, I said, let's come back to some games we've already played for a different reason, or show them off in a different way, and also with enhanced tech. That's what we're going to be getting with two of the games we got, or the last two games. I'm going to actually have to do this one now. I was going to do it in December, but based on my personal schedules going, I'm going to have to not be here on December 27th. So I said, I can put this game on Friday and go through this specifically and have two shows a week. In fact, this is the first time I've done this since 2023. I did a preview program on Contra Hardcore here. And then we did the finale of Parasite Eve as far as that. But as I said, for this one, we got our Super Bowl Game Saturday Second Chances, our last two of the monthly ones. So this is going to be twice in 1 month. Basically, this is December's we're doing tonight. You're seeing on the screen, me highlighting what it is. And it's going to actually share something in common with tomorrow night's game. We'll talk about that a little later because both of these are Sega games. They're celebrating a big anniversary this month. Alright, so for tonight, we're going to be playing a game that's very near and dear to my heart, maybe to yours as well, and if it's not, I'm going to tell you why it's worth your time, even nowadays, and regardless of what your age is, or what your proficiency in platforming games are, or if you can like video games, this is one of those, you gotta play this game. This is Castle Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. This came out on November 20th, 1990 in Japan for Sega Genesis. We actually played this game on the day of its 30th anniversary 5 years ago. And we are using the Sega Genesis Mini for this one for the purpose of it, which is its most recent port. The Sega Genesis Mini is not made anymore, so you're going to have to go onto eBay in order to get one of these units, which is about, I've seen it between $80 to $100+, which, given everything that's in this unit, might be worth it, especially because there's some big games on here and some games that do cost some money. But it did come out on Sega Genesis as far as it, in the US it came out in December of 1990, in Europe it came out in March of 1991, and it also got versions on the Sega Master System and the Game Gear, which are totally different. I've actually still not played those to this day, as much as I love this game. And it also got a couple other ports I did not mention before. It was ported into the Sega Ages I Love Mickey Mouse collection, which came out on the Sega Saturn in Japan. Actually costs a lot of money now, which has this and Quackshot starring Donald Duck, which also came out on Sega Genesis with the same people. And it also is on the PlayStation 3, or it was, as a pre-order digital bonus for the remake of Castle Illusion that came out in 2013, which was delisted and then relisted, and you can still buy it on all the consoles that it's up for, which is everything but Xbox 360, but that 360 version does play on the modern Xbox consoles, and we will get to that remake eventually. But if you pre-order it on PS3 and only PS3, you're able to get a port of the Sega Genesis game here in the box, or in the download, I should say. But you can't go on PS3 and get it that way, and they never sold it separately. But in this case, Sega Genesis Mini is the best way to go, at least for me, because I want to show this as clearly as I can. And it is quite a great game, and I'm looking forward to playing it tonight. So let's get ourselves going. Also got to change the volume, because I wanted to have it up a little bit, or down a little bit, for the purpose of the mini unit. Alright, there we go. So let's get started with our plot, which they tell kind of like a little bit of a fairy tale, as we're seeing Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. They live in Vera City, according to this game, which was the very first Mickey Mouse game for Sega, and maybe still the best one to this day. It's a peaceful burg, but everybody was very happy there, except the evil witch Miserabelle. She wasn't. She said, hey, Minnie's beauty is a case where I want that. So one day she gave a flashing light warning. Mild, but enough for one well indicated. And here she is looking like the evil witch, or the wicked witch from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, coming in and Mickey saying, yeah, I'm not gonna let my girl get kidnapped that way. So I'm running. And I reach the end of the hill over here, and on the cliffside, get the great pan out here to show the Castle of Illusion, which is the subject, of course, of this wonderful game. Yeah, I'm also going to be going into, as far as this compared to when we played it last time, which I was basically rattling off everything I knew just on my own experience. Tonight I got notes as far as this one, so we're going to be going into that and celebrating the people who made this, and what I was able to find as far as background on the making of this, which was not as much as I would have thought. You'd think for a game as legendary as this, and it is a game that has been cited as an inspiration to a lot of game developers, a lot of people making games with Mickey Mouse. I know the people who made Epic Mickey Power of Illusion on 3DS openly said, we were inspired by this game. It's kind of a sequel to this, in a way. It has some of the same music going on. We'll get into the music credits this time as well. And also, I would make the case that it also was the inspiration for Banjo-Kazooie for Nintendo 64, because this game is the same plotline, exact same, which is that an evil witch kidnaps the love of Mickey's life, although actually in Banjo-Kazooie's case, it's the sister of the main character, though it's going to be the love interest during development. We'll get to that when Edwag plays Banjo-Kazooie for us at some date. And the idea is that we have to go around and collect some magical doohickeys in order to make it so that we can save Minnie and also reverse the perspective of what Mizbro really wants to do, which is take the beauty of Minnie and swap it off, saying, I look ugly as far as this, but Minnie's beautiful. Yeah, we can make Minnie ugly, and then I can make myself beautiful. And talk about coming full circle when the remake of this game came out, because the music in the remake was done by Grant Kirkhope, who did the music for Banjo-Kazooie. And I don't know if they've necessarily pinned him or anybody Rare down and said, hey, this was the inspiration, but I would think it would have to be, to a certain extent. And I would think that, I know from interviews Kirkhope has done in particular, that they were paying attention to other games, and why not? This was a big case as far as Mickey Mouse and gaming, and for me, this was my childhood right here. I mean, we had that also with some of the other Sega games, the Illusion games in particular, which I love. Every one of these I've played, which is almost all of them. There are a couple to this day I still haven't played, which are the Game Gear Sega Master System version of this, which is not the same game, so it would be a reason to play, and Legend of Illusion, which is on Game Gear. As far as the other ones, I played World of Illusion. We played that on the show before. We had a great time playing it. And link below to that play, our new Castle of Illusion playlist, and our Second Chance playlist, which also have tomorrow night's show, and eventually when I do the edit. But it's a case where, I don't know, there's something about the aura of these games, the magic of it, the great controls, the way it looks, the beautiful music, we'll get into that for sure. It just had me totally smitten, and because I was a Sega Genesis boy growing up, as I've mentioned before on the show, I experienced this before I'd experienced the Magical Quest games from Capcom from Super Nintendo, which are also great games. Although, actually, the next time we come back to the next one, we're playing the Genesis version. But yeah, that was what I know we've discussed before when it came to the Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse that we played. That was Elect vs. Case, saying that that was his childhood right there. And you know what? I understand it, but the point is, you were not losing if you were a Mickey Mouse fan in the 16-bit era, because you were getting two terrific games. This is the one that came first before Magical Quest. But okay, so it was interesting seeing Capcom and Sega kind of, I guess, looking over each other's shoulders, saying like, hey, how can we kind of one-up each other? How can we do some different things? And made for a great time for sure, and great game to come back to as it is. Alright, so let's start a little bit on credits of who made this. It was supposed to be developed by Sega themselves, specifically Sega Japan, but there was input from Sega of America during parts of development. Because I know, in particular, of what I could find from background in the making of this, the best I found was an article from Sega 16 that came out of Ken Horowitz. I'll have a link to this. It kind of was going into sort of generalities about what was Sega really doing before Sonic the Hedgehog. This game came out about 7 months before Sonic the Hedgehog 1 released in 1991. And it was like the early case of Genesis of thinking, alright, they launched in 1989, I should say, with a focus on arcade ports, stuff like Altered Beast and Super Hang-On and other games like that. But then other original stuff like Revenge of Shinobi, which we previewed as far as the show. But then they're thinking, let's get in touch with big licenses and kind of position that of their Genesis does what Nintendo don't campaign. So they were licensing stuff like Pat Riley Basketball and Tommy Lasorda Baseball and I think it was Buster Brown Boxing, I believe it was. And Michael Jackson's Moonwalker as far as one example. And they're saying, hey, let's do that with Mickey Mouse. We can get that going because there was not much going on as far as Mickey Mouse on Nintendo's side outside of, I guess, Mickey Mousecapade, which was on NES, which was Capcom published but developed by Hudson Soft. And I don't know if at the time that game necessarily had the, I guess, sort of negative reputation that that one has. But Sega said, we want to show what 16-bit means. We want to stick it to Nintendo, saying, we want to get this right and really showcase this as like a bit of a big pop culture thing, saying, hey, having a license as far as Mickey Mouse is a big deal, and also getting a sense of, as Dolly Finn said when we started Scooby-Doo Night of 100 Frights a couple months ago, saying, it's easy to get a license as far as something like this, but how are you really going to make a game that stands out, people are going to still love 35 years after its release, as we are with this one? Well, that was the case of Michael Katz, who was then the president of Sega of America, and also Al Nielsen, who was the head of the marketing department. They kind of were taking that perspective, and from what I understand, what this article went into, they were trying to say, we had to tie in with Disney somehow, saying, let us have the rights, or convince them to give us the rights as far as this. And it was a little bit of a question, because it said, well, okay, Disney, as we've seen over the years, they're very protective of their intellectual properties, sometimes overly so, if you want to go that way. But they were saying, okay, what can we do to really convince? And they said, all right, we want to focus on really having something that feels like this enterprise, something that really screams Disney in terms of how it looks, in terms of how it sounds, in terms of the aura, as I mentioned, and also the animation you're seeing. We'll get more of that as we go. And in particular, they were focused on, well, other elements of Disney as far as that. And that was the perspective of the main director of this game, that being Emiko Yamamoto. It's her background as far as other stuff she did. She did a lot of work at Sega at the time, but she also would go on to do some other stuff we've actually shown on the show. She did the CG cutscenes of Bomberman World for the PlayStation that we played. And she also did graphic design for the field areas and the gear of the Extreme Gear SJ for Sonic Riders for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. She also designed this game's sort of sequel, that being Quackshot for Sega Genesis, as well as World of Illusion. And nowadays she works as executive producer at Disney Interactive Japan, and she was the executive producer on every single one of the games in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. So, you could make the argument that the Kingdom Hearts franchise maybe can be tied back to these. I made that argument multiple times when we played World of Illusion, and you kind of can with this one, too, because they said, alright, it's Mickey Mouse, sure, but can we also maybe tie this with other stuff Disney to kind of give the sense that Mickey is in this world with other characters, sort of, maybe not quite to the degree that World of Illusion did as far as kind of crossing across other elements of Disney franchises. This one kind of sticks to stuff that's mostly, I guess, connected to Mickey Mouse, sort of, but you are seeing some similarities, as we saw, like with the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs case. They really kind of want to emphasize that in particular. And so that was kind of, I guess, where they were going, and it definitely paid off, because this was a hit, and it was something that did get some other games as far as, I guess, Mickey Mouse and also Donald Duck, as it is when we get to that. And also, not just on this system, because I mentioned this stuff on Game Gear, not just the Illusion games, which the exclusive two from Game Gear were Land of Illusion and Legend of Illusion. Do you want to show that at some point? I do not have the Retron 5 device, which I really want to use for the purpose of showing them live on the program. Basically with native hardware. Although I've also heard the Retron 5 has problems running the Game Gear version of this, which makes me nervous. Like, I don't want to have that going wrong, because apparently there's issues with graphics, but I'll have to figure that at some point. As we're also hearing this wonderful music, we're getting that, and I think we'll get ourselves started, because it's pretty straightforward, I think we're seeing, and as I said, unlike when we played this 5 years ago, I kind of want to soak this game in and really celebrate it, even more than I already did before. And my main thesis, I think, of tonight, along with I love this game, and if you haven't played it, you should, or if you haven't played it in a while, pick it up and play it again. I would say it's something I've thought about a lot, actually, from Edwack. I mentioned he's going to be doing Banjo-Kazooie for us at some juncture, don't know when. Even he's like, I don't know when I want to do this. I want to really make that run really strong and be pretty much running it perfectly. She said, I might be waiting until the 30th anniversary. So, like, okay, your choice. And I do have an announcement on tomorrow night's show of what his next game's going to be. Just to let you know. Well, we'll go into that later on for tomorrow night's program. But he said something to me a couple years ago saying, and he said this also when he did Smart Ball earlier this year, which is a game he grew up playing as well. He said, would kids of today want to play a game like that one, or like Castle of Illusion you're seeing here on the screen? Looking at this game as far as it, I would say yes, because of the element of Mickey Mouse, but I also am going to make the argument this way, which is I think the way this game is designed is the kind of thing that I think for young children, for people who've never played platformers before, for people playing them all their life like I have, or whatever that might be, or if you're, I don't know, if you're like age 100, like I want to play video games as far as this, I just want to start playing now, even though it's like late in my life, I want to experience it. Why is this a game that is for everyone? And I think this game's design is really going to reflect that. And it's something did bring up when we looked at this a couple years ago, but something I didn't really we'll go on to go deep into, because the way we're going to play this game, just to go into that, we're going to be playing this game 3 times. We're going to be playing through it to beat it twice. The last time, I don't know if I'm going to guarantee a victory of it. I mean, I am running on a device here that I could use a save state for. I don't know if I do that. I kind of want to not do that, but if I get to a case where I might. I might also leave it up to all of you in our best chat on Twitch if you want to see it go that way. But I do want to kind of just go through this and just savor this game. And one thing we'll do before we start the game, I want to talk about this music. My god, the music's amazing on this. It was done by... I just want to make sure there's not more than one name on this one, because I have the notes on the game we're doing tomorrow night, and that's one where I have like 4 people doing on music, and they're like 9 pages worth of voice actor credits. Not so much as far as this one voice, because there isn't any. Okay, no, there's 2 names. I just want to make sure it was more than one. Yeah, it was specifically, the music in this game was done by Shigenori Kamiya, who did music for Quackshot, as well as Legend of Illusion for Game Gear, and the 8-bit version of this game. That was really about it, believe it or not. And the other name was Tokihiko Uwabo, who did music for the Sega Master System version of Fantasy Zone. That's Fantasy Star. The Black Onyx for the SG-1000. That is a Sega device that came out before the Sega Master System. We've not really talked about that one much. I would picture what that is. It was... I think it's technically an 8-bit system, but I don't know if maybe it's even prior to that. I think it maybe got some play in the US, but if so, it was very limited. It was more of a Japanese thing, I do know that. He also did music for Space Harrier 2 for Sega Genesis, Super Monaco GP also for Sega Genesis, and did sound design on Michael Jackson's Moonwalker, on Revenge of Shinobi that we did a preview of a couple months ago, as well as Golden Axe 3 for Sega Genesis, and he was the supervisor for Panic for Sega CD, which is a game that Data East published. It's kind of this very bizarre point-and-click game. I've never played this, but I've seen the advertisements of it, where they said, hey, this is something mature audiences only, because you're this cartoony boy with, like, a red cap or a pink cap. You're walking around, you're pressing a button, random things are happening. Sometimes you might get game over. Sometimes you'll have very surreal things happening. Apparently there's visible nudity in it, but I don't know if it's a case where it's a problem for streaming the game. I don't have it, so I don't know what it's like. I've heard people say they absolutely hate this game, but then I also know people who absolutely love this game as well. But yeah, he did the design as far as that game, and I guess maybe looking at something like this, saying, let's go, I guess, in a different twisted direction as far as an animated take with that one, as opposed to this. But as we're going to have one more Case of the Waltz going on here, then we're going to get ourselves started with this game. I'm looking forward to doing this. As I mentioned, we're using the Sega Genesis Mini unit for this one because of the clarity of the graphics compared to how I would have to connect this with the Sega Genesis cartridge. That being said, I do have my Sega Genesis cartridge right here. I've had this thing actually since 1997. I bought this at a Kmart in Northern Virginia. And they're like, wait a second, that's like 7 years after the game came out. Yeah, it is, but it's something that I'd rented this game when it came out. I remember it was like, I think the first time I played this game, it was, if I remember correctly, I think it was 1992. I think we rented this maybe when family was visiting, or a case where I think we either rented the Sega Genesis before we got it, and then we played this. Oh, wow, for kids, you know, you want to get your kids a Mickey Mouse game for that. But it turned out to be a case where I think all of us are looking at this saying, my God, this is not just something to keep the kids entertained. It's something that every adults want to play. It's like, look at how Mickey's animated. Look at everything with the parallax scrolling and the colors. Even with only 64 colors on the Genesis, there's a meme of me saying that over and over, but it's the truth about how it was designed as far as the console was set. But this game does not look it. It's so fluid. You're seeing him wagging his tail there as he's bouncing around and going around. It's great stuff, and I'm looking forward to giving it a full treatment. Okay, and yeah, is he going to survive the role of the apple there? Well, we're going to have to find out. All right, I'll let the intro play once more, and then we're going to get ourselves started. I remember when I first played it, I will say this in particular, when I first heard that dee-dee-dee-dee on the soundtrack, like, oh, what's that? And they say Once Upon a Mouse as opposed to Once Upon a Time. So right away, this game is kind of emphasizing the fact that, okay, this is going to be a different kind of Mickey Mouse experience, and definitely a great one. If nothing else, I'm pretty much prefacing my final thoughts, like, only 20 minutes in, saying I love this game to death. And I've been waiting to do tonight's show, for sure. And it's not going to be too long, as far as how the show is going to be, really, because I know this game well, and also because it's not that long a game. But it's also one of those cases where I'd say, hey, you know what? I'm saying to people, if you don't have this thing, it's cheap to get on Sega Genesis if you want to go that way, but it's also something that if you want to get the Sega Genesis mini unit, pay like $80-something for it, it's probably worth it. I'd say if they sold this game for $60 nowadays, I'd still say this game is totally worth it, and it's not a waste of money, and you're not being shortchanged. That's how good this game is. Okay, so let's get ourselves started. What they do when you first boot the game up, though, they start you with difficulty and also setting of all your options right away. Hit start button to pass by that and start the game, but the way we're playing, and you also have a sound test and the adjusting of your controls, which by default, you hit A and B to throw out items when you pick them up, and C is your jump, and then when you're in the air, you hit the C button again for your attack for bouncing. You can change them around any way you want, pretty much making it so you have jump on either A, B, or C. Sound test, you listen to great music in this game, which is wonderful, and it's worth doing that. But our main focus as far as this is going to be on difficulty. Hit the B button to scroll backwards, or you hit the C button to scroll forwards on this. You have 3 difficulties here of practice, normal, and hard. We're playing this game 3 times for each difficulty, because as I said when we played this the first time, it's very unique what this game's doing as far as thinking, well, each of these difficulties going. It reflects, I think, the idea of Mickey Mouse being a character for everyone, that young children would want to see how cute he is or see some of the stuff in the cartoons. Families might want to see cartoons of Minnie and Mickey going to the beach or something like that. Adults might want to see the really dark cartoons that Mickey Mouse would go involved with, like the Mad Doctor, or years later, Runaway Brain, the one that played in front of a kid in King Arthur's court in the 90s, which was actually after this game came out. This game covers the same bases, and I love that, and it also is something that, as I said, it doesn't matter what your skill base on a platforming game is or your age is, this game is covered every way. And we're going to play these in order of difficulty, starting at the lowest. First up is practice. How practice is going to work, it's an abbreviated version of the game that's only 3 levels long. We could beat this in 5 minutes. But the aspect of this is that it's something to get you comfortable on how to play the game. There are more item pickups around. You start with a full health bar, which you do not on the other difficulties. There are no bosses to fight. There are only 3 gems to collect. And the purpose of our collecting those gems is going to be a bit different on how we're getting Minnie back. She's getting back to us no matter what we do. But the way it goes is a bit different on practice. Normal's the main difficulty of the game. You go through every level that the game has normally. So we're going to go through the first level, but it has multiple different sections. And that's what's going to happen as we go along, including adding boss fights. And there's also differences as far as the way the items are laid out, and also some of the enemy placements. And you start with 3 hit points, or as the game calls them, power spheres. Those are in the instruction manual. I'll link down to the instruction manual for it, because there's parts of it that seem confusing about how it's worded, so I did want to at least get some perspective of it. And there's this one. This is hard. You go through the same game as normal, except for this one. One thing worth mentioning, I should mention, is that you do have continues in this game. If you're playing on practice, you get 4 continues. So if you get a game over, you can continue up to 4 times. On normal, you can continue twice if you get game over. Hard, no continues. So yeah, you got to go through the entire game on the lives you've got. And it's a case where bosses now take double damage. So if you had to hit a boss 5 times, on normal you hit them 10 times. This time, they change the item layouts. There are fewer items to pick up. There are more enemies that are placed around. You have to get through the entire game without getting a game over. If you do, you're going back all the way to the beginning. And it's thank God in this game you do get the perspective of being able to get lives from points. You're going to have to take advantage of that, and if you really want to be super careful, this game does have regenerating enemies, so you could feasibly go around and make the enemies come back and kill them to get enough points. And there's no time limit, so there's no penalty for you doing that. Except it's going to take a while, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be a little more fair. I'm going to say, we're playing this game the way it's designed. I'm going to see if I can do this, even after all the years this game's been out, and all the years I've been playing it. I've never done this. So, we're going to be doing it 3 times. We're going to get ourselves ready to go, because that's the idea. We played World of Illusion, this game's sort of follow-up, 3 times in a row, because it gives a different experience each time. We're going to do the same thing on this one, and I think with that, let's turn this over to practice, hit the start button, and we are ready to go. And we do get our intro here of this guy outside the castle saying, alright, we gotta get over to Miserabelle quickly, because if we don't, she's gonna use her powers to make Minnie ugly and make herself look beautiful. This time we only pick 3 gems opposed to 7 in the other difficulties, and it'll make Miserabelle see beauty in herself. So I guess we gotta convince that, yeah, you know, you're beautiful on your own, and maybe these nice gems will help. But the gems are protected by the Master of Illusion, so you gotta be careful, Mickey. Yeah, no problem. And your first test is happening now, where the game is going to show us how bouncing works. There's the toy soldiers. Bounce, 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 boom, they're gone. As you get this wonderful music and be walking along, we find a door, think what's in here, we're gonna go in. Alright. So stage 1, here we are in the Enchanted Forest. Oh my god, the music is so lovely. I cannot say enough. Okay, controls of the game I mentioned earlier, but you're moving left and right. That's the idea how it goes. And C button, by default, is your jump. When you're jumping, you're in the air, you hit the C button again to do the bounce attack. It is controllable that way, and that was kind of the perspective of the people who made this. Because they said, we won't make it so you can do platforming, but the idea is that you have to do the bounce in order to attack enemies and defeat them, but also give the player control on how to do that. Also, alternatively, if you hit down on the D-pad when you're in the air, you also go into bounce state. Basically, you know that when he aims himself down that way, and you're all set. In this level, you also pick up items. Those are apples. Hit the air B button to toss them out. If you hold the C button down as you're bouncing on an enemy, you bounce higher. And those are stars. They give you recovery of your power spheres, but if you have full health, you get 1,000 points off of each of them. And you're seeing the great atmosphere. My god, I love this so much. But you sometimes have to be careful of some of the enemies, like the spitting flowers there. You can bounce on the spit they shoot out and be okay. But you also have to be careful about how you go, because you don't want to take hits. And for this, it's not too bad. But if you do take too many hits, though, you run out of power in your power gauge, you're dead. So, don't do that. Also, since I'm on practice, I'm just standing here. This is the exit. We're already done. But there, I'm just showing like what throwing is. Also, one thing to point out about throwing the apples. You do have a different trajectory based on where you're standing. So if you're standing straight, you do that. If you're crouching, you do throw it lower, and it is a little quicker. And if you're jumping, he also throws it instantly. So if you're going to be using apples or any of the projectiles for attacking this game, you do want to be aware of that. It's something I didn't really think about too much when I was playing it growing up, but it's interesting. As I was getting ready for tonight's show, I was playing this game a little differently, because I know this game really well. It's not a game I have to practice multiple months for, but it's also something I said, since I know it well, let me look at some other things and try and understand this better for myself. And also better explain to all of you. Alright, as soon as we reach the exit gate, we're done. We get a gem right here, so we just get it without any questions asked. We got the first one, that's the red gem. I get this wonderful triumphant music saying, here's the red gem, we have more to do to save Minnie. That is absolutely true, but we'll do it. At the end of the stage, you get your point rack up. Clear bonuses for finishing the level, technical bonuses based on how much health you have left. Secret bonus, I was not sure what that was about, but the way the manual says it, it's a bit confusing. The manual says it's, quote, the number of items left times 1,000, which suggests that if you don't get items, you get more points, but no, you get no points. So, from what I'm gathering, the idea is that you do want to pretty much collect every item you can so you get more points. And the incentive for that is lives, because at 40,000 points, you get a life, and every 50,000 points after that, you get a life again. As we're in Toyland. And for this level, we have marbles. We're going to toss those, and you have planes that will appear out of nowhere. But it's not going to be too bad, although I'm not doing well tossing the marbles. Okay, there you go. Now I can do it. Keep going along, you're seeing the marching soldiers, so it is getting you a good case of, like, the pre-Christmas perspective as well. So, like, yeah, you know, the Babes in Toyland perspective, which I think is what they're kind of going for, and it does create this great atmosphere saying, yeah, we're playing with toys, but, like, yeah, the toys can be a bit dangerous, so you gotta be careful that way. And also, the great attention to detail is seeing, like, the, I guess the flower, like, clapping in the background there. And nice parallax scrolling going on as far as the way the layers are kind of going to really great sense of depth. But there are a lot of items here to pick up, and since I have gotten tons of points as it was, and I'm at full health, I get points off of that, and I'm in good shape. Now, I can, as I mentioned, stay in this level all I want in order to get more points if I want to. In this case, since they're there, I'm just going to stand here, because you can't really pound them when you're having the ceiling there. Although I did have on my test, as you're seeing the clown, I'll toss that there. When you do toss that, the unicycle goes off. That does defeat enemies if it goes into them. So you can use that to your advantage, but you do have to be quick. And be careful of the balls you juggle on that as well. Yeah, we're almost at the end. It's not too bad. In some ways, I'm kind of padding this. But if nothing else, showing that perspective, saying, give a kid who's never played a video game before, anybody who's never played a game before, this game, you're set. And they'll be able to understand it really quickly, and they're gonna have a fun time, no question. Alright, so I get that. So you do get one marble off of each of those, and then you get the Mickey Mouse ears. Well, actually, let me do this first. Yeah, you do hear that sound when you're in game. That is an extra life for the 40,000, or an extra try, I should say. And there's an extra try as far as a pickup. Yeah, because remember, the idea of Disney is usually they do not like to emphasize the idea of Mickey dying. Although, as we've seen with stuff of certain cartoons and things of his, there is the perspective, yeah, he's gonna die maybe if something goes wrong, like with the Mad Doctor. Remember, he's tied down to a gurney with a razor blade or saw blade, and you're like, yeah, is he gonna survive that? That's always the question, so it's definitely a case of menace. But in this case, you get tries, so if you do die, he technically doesn't die, he just, it's like the Sonic the Hedgehog 1 mentality of, you lose an extra chance to complete the game. And if you do get a game over, we'll show game over when we get to hard, probably, most likely. They will emphasize that he didn't die, but he has to try again. And it can definitely cut deep as far as the player, but this is the last door as far as practice. Let's go in. This is for the storm. And wonderful music again here, and the beautiful background here of the clouds that are kind of purple, but also, I guess it is like a calm before the storm, because you're seeing like the orange and they're getting kind of red as far as how it is. So great art direction about how they're getting that set, but also go down the cave and find some enemies here to bounce on. And also, the mushrooms, they will go down in the ground. They do change color on the levels, which is nice. Also, I did not know this for all the years I played this game until I was doing my audio checks about half an hour ago. Coming here, there's gems, or diamonds. Pick those up, they're 100 points a pop. And of course, the bag of items to toss. You get 10 items from the bag of whatever they are, whether they're the marbles, the apples, or one other thing which will show off near the end of the game when we get to the roleplay. And you're also seeing with the way the bounce is working, you can get a lot of great distance. So there is a high skill cap to this, the same way that something like Sonic the Hedgehog has. I mean, it's wonderful. On top of how gorgeous this looks, as I don't care that this is a game from 35 years ago. This still looks as good as modern games, if only because of the art direction. And also the use of color. Dolly Finn's mentioned that when she's come on the show, saying the color really sticks out. And I think that that's what the people who made this really want to emphasize, that we want to get that perspective of this feeling like Disney in terms of how Mickey's animating and all that stuff, but also how is he looking, also how are the decisions that they're making with how not just he looks, but how everything else looks, really draws you to this world. I'll tell you, it's one of these cases where, honestly, maybe it was a case that it was more immersive a game at the time for me than I realized. I think, well, you think immersion in a game usually is a case of saying, hey, because something looks realistic. But sometimes something like this, I feel like, no, I'm on this mountain. There's a storm brewing potentially. There's these enemies here. There are these like these scaly fish here. I'm going in the water, and I'm gonna save Minnie no matter what. You get this triumphant music going on. It's wonderful. It's very exciting. It has a great drive. It has a great inspiration as far as the player, and it's wonderful. Now, the way this works, I'm kind of just playing around on this one, as you can probably tell. When you go in the water, you swim by hitting the C button. You cannot jump out of the water, as we're pointing out. You also cannot attack under the water. Hitting A and B is not doing anything. You go down the paths here, and you come out of the geysers. Now, what you gotta do here is you have to go out the one on the right. And as soon as we do this, we're gonna beat this. It's actually that short. Boom. Alright, so off we go. We're going through, and this is the end of the stage. There we go. That is the old gem. We are done. So there you go. Within about, I don't know, like, not even 10 minutes, we're done. But that's the interesting about this, because I know sometimes it's been a case when it comes to the difficulty of a game as far as a modern case of making it easy. The case that is it so easy that it's going to be insulting to the player. Honestly, you could argue that maybe this is because you can beat it in 10 minutes, but I don't think it is, because the game's not saying, oh no, you're not good enough as far as this. I think it's saying, it's running the assumption that maybe you never played a game like this before, saying, okay, let's ease you in, let's get you set, let's give you a perspective of what this game has to offer. Here are the 3 gems. You'll see the beauty yourself. It's like, yeah, I can also pay money to make that happen as well. So I pay her off, and it's just, here's the Rainbow Bridge, here's Minnie back. Alright, so thank you, Miserable. Maybe not so bad after all, or maybe she is. Like, okay, so we beat her. But also in case that as a young kid, you're like, oh my god, I beat this game, even though it was only 10 minutes. I didn't defeat the Evil Witch, I got rid of the Evil Witch, I saved Minnie, and now in this case, we're ready to go normal. So in that case, I'll tell you what it did for me growing up, because when I first played this, I played on practice as well, because I was about 6 when I played this game for the first time. I said, oh great, I created this great sense of accomplishment. I had a lot of fun playing it because of how it looks and feels and sounds. I said, okay, next challenge is going to be, I want to go through it on normal. I want to see the whole game. I want to beat the game that way. So in that case, it's a great gradual difficulty between difficulty levels, as opposed to just the perspective saying, oh, it's going to get difficult as you play through the game normal, which is gonna, as we go through normal, which we're going to do next. But it's kind of unique, and even nowadays, I can't really think of games that do this. Even games that have a difficulty called practice, it usually just emphasizes the challenge less, but doesn't actually change the game dynamics a whole lot, or the way the game's designed. Because I know of games I can think of off the top of my head that do this. Ghouls and Ghosts from Sega Genesis, which was also early on this console, that did it, but still hard as anything when you're playing on practice. And Earthworm Jim, also hard as anything when you're playing on practice, just because of the way that game is designed. Whereas in this one, they said, okay, we're going to make it simple as far as that, but now, in this case, now the fun's going to begin even more, enhance even more from what we already had. Because I had a fun time doing it on practice, even though it's easy. That's fine. Perfect. Now let's go the normal way. So, okay, here's what happens when you play the game the normal way. So the story's the same. We do have to save Minnie from having her beauty sapped away. But unlike practice mode, we had to get 7 gems this time. These will give us the power to overcome Rizabel. So, as I said last time, we're going to have to get our hands dirty this time and say, no, we have to overcome her. We have to defeat her. We can't just pay her off this time and say, okay, the beauty in yourself is within the reflection of these gems or something. And the gems are protected by the Master of Illusion, which is the indication that we're going to have to fight bosses this time. And we'll do that. Also, the level's going to be longer, and there'll be more dangers going on. And we'll be showing that. I'm looking forward to doing it as we go, and I've already had a fun time just doing the practice part. Let's do it. And it starts in the Enchanted Forest like it did last time, but a bit different, as we're going to see right now. Alrighty, so same deal as before. We're in the same area, but we're seeing, okay, there are the walking trees. Do like that. And it's worth pointing out also, I think the point values for defeating enemies do change between difficulties from what I've seen. In this case, I'm getting 200 points as far as hitting onto the mushrooms and the tree trunks, or the walking stumps. But also, I think it's also dependent on the enemy you kill as well, because some of the enemies do give you more points. In fact, I think the flowers of them, they give you 300 points as opposed to 200. And you do not get a point bonus for bouncing a multiple in a row. It just feels really good to do that. And also a case of saying, hey, this shows the skill level, saying, oh, I can kill these enemies, but I can also say, hey, let me keep myself in the air as long as I can. And also just barely avoid getting hit by the spit there, and boom, boom, boom. In that case, also walking off there, actually, that made it a little easier, saying, hey, you know, in that case, hit down on D-pad there. Because you have a choice of how you want to do the bounce or initiate that. But when you're walking off a platform like that, you can do it when you're walking off of a platform from as we did before, and you'll be all set. Okay, now in practice, there was an exit sign. Where is it? It's not there, because we got another section. And this is where it's going to get a little hard, because first off, the trees will bounce up in the air themselves. But also, we have to jump over bottomless pits. If we fall down any of those things, we lose a try, so gotta be careful. We also get the ropes get to swing on. When we swim on those little birds there, if I run into them, they get defeated. And you do want to do this as far as getting over, and at the end of the swing, usually hit the C button and grab on the next one. It looks so good. A little choppy, I guess, by today's standards. A little, but still a case of, wow, look at that. In this case, hanging on that one to be set, and also jumping off here to get the try. But there's also something else you gotta worry about. Apple running. I'm usually jumping off the way, saying, oh, I'm running down the hill, but I can also jump to get out of that way of that thing. But the apple still runs. If it does hit into me, I'll get run over. I'll sure get run over later. Also, we have doors, and the apple will keep coming, by the way, if I don't do anything. So in this case, are we gonna outrun the apple? Yes, we are. And we're going to, I guess, the floating leaves as far as in the spider web. When I was growing up, I did not know what I was doing here, and I was also in a case of finding it really easy to fall and die. You're seeing those spiders there, but it's very peaceful and tranquil. The do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. It sounds so peaceful for something that's so dangerous, because if I fall, ouch, it's gonna be bad, and yeah, because it's a bottomless pit down there. And you're also seeing the leaves. They will move on their own when you jump on them. But, Hard's gonna throw a bit more of a nasty trick on that, we'll have to indicate. But if you're slow and steady, you should be okay. And honestly, the way the screen resolution of this game is, both vertically and horizontally, it's something you can, generally speaking, see a lot of things here in Beset. Sorta. Okay, we're seeing that over there. Where the star is, there's a pit right there, but if you jump to the right, you can jump down there and get it. So that's sort of leap of faith, but it's also the case you can go over that way and make it. Also, if you make the jump right by doing the walk and jump at the edge. Actually, I missed it. So there you go. That is a reflection of what happened when I was growing up, of what happens. And when you do die, you go back to the beginning of the stage, although, to be fair, these stages are not that long. You can make that jump, but it's not an easy jump to make that. You can also take a massive shortcut by making the leap from here, and then basically holding that D-pad as you go along, and just keep going. And this game has the thing about the controls, the jumping controls in this game, is that they're floaty, but they're floaty in the best way possible. Because you're seeing here, Mickey does have a little bit of a slow descent, sort of. He doesn't fall immediately, like, say, Mega Man does. But also something that it means that you can kind of be creative as far as how you're making those jumps. You know, that, woo! So in that case, you can kind of get a good sense of judging how far you're going to jump and also where you can land. Because, okay, even though I didn't make that jump correctly as far as over there, you can make that jump, but it's also that case that you basically wait to the edge of the platform and then jump and then get through and you're set. Alright, so we're back in the forest now, but this tree is not looking so good. Also getting a sense here, whoa, wait a second, the time of day is changing. That's sweet. And his perspective of, yeah, Halloween. I guess Halloween didn't end. Yeah, the last live show we did was Castlevania Chronicles 2 weeks ago, and I said, hey, the next game could be the case of Halloween not ending yet. Yeah, you're right, in fact. It almost plays a lot like the Disney Halloween takes, as far as if you ever saw those back on the Disney Channel back in the day. Or actually, like another Mickey Mouse cartoon, The Lonesome Ghost. In fact, you have the ghosts here that do kind of have that look of that. And the idea for them, you bounce on them. Just want to point out, if you do just bounce and you don't hold the C button, you don't go far. So basically, bounce on them and hold the C button down to keep bouncing up. That is how you're going to get your way up to the tree to get the nice items there. Also, yeah, that sign there says turn back because that's bottomless pit. I also tried. You cannot make that jump over there to that platform. I thought, can I make that distance? But unfortunately, you cannot. So I'm going to have to go the way of bounce on the ghost. Before I do, going in here, we're going to see more items. Yeah, nonetheless, I also want to scour the levels this time, which is something I didn't do when we played it last time, just because I said, okay, I know this game, I just want to kind of go that way, but I'm kind of realizing that now that it's been over 5 years of the show, I said, what do I really want to do with it? Well, first off, I want to show games that I want to show up, but also take questions of what all of you want to show, or want to see represented, and also have your experiences told or tell them yourself above anything else. But I said, well, maybe the idea of demonstrating a game, basically going deep into the guts of it, as we mentioned, which means talking about the people who made it, talking about the experiences that we might have with them, but also showing every single thing of these games off that we can find, even little secrets that, even for years of me playing this game, I never knew they existed. Okay, so I'm going down here, but in this case, I am going to show off basically every area of this level. And they're not long levels, but they're well designed because they give you a sense of saying, okay, I want to go the top path, maybe get some items that way, or go the bottom way and maybe be a little more direct. Sometimes you have to go a certain way, otherwise you're going to die. But we're in the caves here, what is a little tough in the caves. You get the mushrooms, they pop out from the ground, they'll hide underneath there, but they also respawn, and it's the idea that you're going to need to use marbles to get through here, or you have to time it to walk through when they're not there so you don't take damage. Since I have tons of marbles, or apples, marbles the next level, just take them out. And there's no difference between the items as far as what they do or power, just for visual effect. But in this case, it makes sense that we're in the forest, so yeah, we're going to toss apples. Keep getting more points, and you also have the, yeah, almost like looking like Pete or something like that, the way the bats are, but he doesn't notice me, so I can throw the apple there and knock him out of the sky, or off of the ceiling. Okay, so we have full health, and that's good because coming up next is going to be our first boss. That's going to be the old oak tree. Yeah, I don't necessarily have a reason to go after them. Yeah, but, you know what, I guess I want to, maybe I want them gone as far as this. But also the idea, I guess they're not dying either, because I'm hitting them and they're kind of exploding into this magical, you know, starburst or something like that. Like the gling! And also that sound design sounds so nice. Alright, let's get going, let's fight the boss. Again, this tense music, yeah, what Old Oak Tree does, he does a roll, and a roll up the side, and then you have the acorns going on there. Go over and then bounce him. Hit him 5 times, you win. You can also throw apples. If you do the apple way, it takes double hits. You can also kind of mix them. I don't know if it actually makes it go quicker. I'll put that to the test. It sort of did when I was looking at it, when I was getting ready for tonight's show. But that was because I ran on hard, where on hard he already takes double damage anyway. Maybe he just does it on hard. Actually, maybe not, because maybe it's just for hard, because I threw 3 apples at him and bounced on him 3 times, and he takes 5 hits normally as far as getting rid of that. Okay, it sort of worked. Okay. So in that case, I'd hit him 7 times. It is quicker if you bounce on him. So technically the bounce does more damage, but you can also mix it so that instead of having to throw 10 apples at him, you can do, I guess, 4 bounces and 3 apple tosses. When you defeat him, you get the gem. Alright, we do have much more to do to save Minnie, and they're not wrong this time because of the fact that we have many more levels we gotta go through. And, of course, bosses, as we're seeing here. Okay, I definitely got a good secret bonus and technical bonus for not taking too many hits. And you have high score, does not save the cartridge, but for the purpose of this, we'll see that high score that I got on practice get obliterated soon enough. And if you get game over, that score goes back to 0, so be aware of that. Okay, so another door. What could be inside? Well, it's Toyland again, but Toyland's a bit different this time and much more involved. In fact, this in particular, it has a different piece of music. It has a different area altogether. Okay, so here's the exit, but there's a locked door with a key. Alright, so we gotta go find the key. And in that case, also get hit by the, toy soldier. In this case, we gotta make a nice climb. And it's a pretty long climb, but not too bad. What you want to do as you're going up here is you do want to pay attention to where the soldiers are and also where new enemies for normal are. Jack in the boxes. In that case, I also, I went through, I didn't go through him. He retracted himself in before I really hit him. If you want to get bouncing on him, hit him in the head. Hit him in the head, and you're all set. I do love the sound of the march going here. It's the idea of the percussion of the Genesis as far as what it's doing with its audio tech. And it's put to really good use in this game. And also a lot of the bass sound as well, which is something the Genesis often is really good at. Percussion and bass tend to be something that the sound driver of the system really shines at. Not that it was bad on Super Nintendo, far from it, but also the way that the Genesis was able to do it and how really specific developers and musicians were able to make it run, it really is great. It's always maybe sounds better than some of its contemporaries on the Super Nintendo, too, to certain degrees, but also, again, depends on who is doing the game. You get miracles out of every console. I think this is the case with, this is a miracle out of this console, no question, every way you can imagine. Whoa. In this case, I'll just go back down the stairs just to avoid taking the damage. Not that's too bad, but it is something that, yeah, if you completely throw caution out the window, and I hit him just as he went there, yeah, you can be getting into trouble. So I always say I like to play my platforming games fast and loose like Sonic the Hedgehog. This doesn't exactly give me the way to do that because I'm not moving really fast, or have a run mechanic to it either. But also, I guess I can be a bit loose as far as how I do the platforming and also do the jumps and the bouncing. Let me bounce on him or miss. And then let it comes up, because I can also make that jump, or I can say, okay, I'll do that. And you do have a little bit of slides come off there, but not too bad. We're almost at the top. Okay, so there's the key we have to grab. Also, you do see that great animation of him kind of swaying there. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna fall. He will not fall off on his own if I leave him there, just to indicate that. Alright, so let's get the key, and we'll get going. Yeah, what happens here is that the floor goes sideways, and now we're running down. Now for this, I'm just gonna take my time and pick up all the items I can. It is a rush. You got up here all the way, and it's like, oh yeah, let's run all the way down and get the items in here. Ding, 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 ding. And then all we are set, and there's the door open. So yeah, also the great attention to detail, the fact that the music is changing dynamically. And then when it restarts this music, it has an intro that it didn't have when it first came. Alright, there you go. That's the end of Area 1. So for Area 2, we get the music we heard before, but now we got springs going on. So, and we have to bust those walls down, which we sort of did on practice, but I kind of glossed over that. And behind some of them are stars. For this one, it's right in the middle. In this case, I'm at full health, and we're looking good. But also, because of this, we're going to run into the clowns on the unicycles a little more, so that's something you got to be careful of. But I know what I'm doing on this one. On hard, I don't, but on normal, yeah, this is such an easy breezy, relaxing case of me playing game now. It really is, and I'm having a great time. Hit him through here. Also, for the spring, you just kind of bounce as far as that, as like a jump, and you can't really control much about it, except the idea of how you're, you know, getting yourself ready for the bounce attack, coming up or down. So, yeah, that plane got in my way. Also, with Jello, I gotta be careful in here, because if I let myself get submerged completely in as far as my head, I will die instantly, so I don't want to have that happen. Yeah, who knew Jello was so deadly? But in this game it is, if you let yourself get fully submerged. And also, your jump is inhibited. So you do want to kind of jump on the surface in order to get onto that block there, in order to get your way up. Going alright, and you're also seeing the enemies will sometimes pop up out of nowhere. But not too bad. And in that case, I also use this unicycle to get rid of them and then bounce on them that way as well. So it gives a lot of strategy there of saying, hey, I want to use the unicycle to take the enemies out. And you can do that. Alright, one more Jack in the Box to be mean to you, and then we're out. Okay, so now we're in the area that we were at for practice mode, but it's a bit different here. There's one aspect of this that we did not see that way, and it really is nice. Yeah, that arrow there, when I hit that, it flips the screen. I love that. And every time you do that, if you hit right there, it basically stops all the enemies dead in their tracks, and it flips over, and they all die. So in this case, see that clown there? He's gonna throw the ball at me and hurt me. In that case, the ball stops dead in its tracks, and then he went up on the ceiling and died. So yeah, if you ever played, or remember when we played Dynamite Heady had that. Okay, it didn't kill enemies when you did the flip as far as the screen. This game it does, and you get the points that you would get for the purpose of that when they die as well. But if you ever played that, it will look a little familiar as far as this game was doing it years before. And it's unique, and it is interesting, the idea that it's kind of flipping the gravity. And also, another game that did that also was Sonic & Knuckles. But again, a case where I think this game beat him with the punch, or definitely beat those with the punch. I don't know if this is the first game that ever did it, though. As far as I can tell, I think it is. Outside of another game I know that did that, I've always wanted to play this. I think I mentioned this when we played this game the first time. As I flipped them, but if I can, I think I do want to. Again, I don't know if I need the items that bad. But in this case, yeah, we got two of the clowns. Alright, so flip them over that way and get rid of them. Another game I know does this. A game I've always wanted to play. It's Wendy Every Which Way, which is on Game Boy Color. It has extra stuff you played on Game Boy Advance. It was from Way Forward. People made DuckTales Remastered, Enchanted. I've heard it's great. It's also a game that goes for a lot of money because people realize, hey, this is actually really, really good. You think, I don't know, what do you think on the license necessarily? I mean, if you're a fan of Harvey Comics or of Winnie the Witch, you probably have had that thing since 2001, but everybody else saying, like, wait a sec, Way Forward developed this, and it's awesome. Kind of like this game. The idea that sometimes the licensed games surprise you, although with this one, I don't know if it's a case where it was necessarily a case where this game surprised people in the sense of, oh, you know, it's a game based on a license, and, like, the idea of that being negative. Here's what it's like, oh, Mickey Mouse in a game. It's surprising that it's as amazing as it is. Maybe one of the best games on the Genesis, I would argue. As we're seeing the door there, as far as how that is, it's upside down. The sign is upside down. But either way, the way it works is the same. We go through, we're going to fight the boss here. That is the... Actually, this is the Jack in the Box. This boss is a bit hard. If you're going speedrun for this game, this can stop it. Because to do the bounce around, you want to crouch anytime he bounces, because it's random what is going to happen here. He'll do a number of bounces between 1 to 4 or so. He'll do a punch out, and then he'll drop out the springs. Jump on one of those, bounce on him, and hit him. You don't know when he's gonna do that, so that's what makes this hard. I think there's an exploit where I've seen people be able to kind of manage that somehow. In that case, he only did it after 2 bounces. And you do want to hold him in the center if you can. I'll show why you don't want to go to the edge here. Because he'll bounce off the side of the screen, and it's a case where you can kind of get yourself in trouble if he hits the side of the screen, like, wait, I'm going to be too close, and I'm going to get hit by him. As long as you keep doing this, basically every jump he makes is crouch, and then jump on this, and bounce right on. At 5 hits, he's dead. Yeah, so not too bad, but it's a case where when we get to hard, it's going to be really hard. Alright, let's go and get the next gem. There's the orange one. Alright, so next up, we're going back to the storm, but the storm is going to look a little different, and even the design of the level we're going to go to is different. Jeez, look at that secret bonus I got, 26,000. And that was with me not collecting every single item. I said, oh, I didn't need to get all those items. I guess I got enough of them to get a massive point bonus. Look at that. I mean, if nothing else, everything I can get to life is going to be good, especially when you get to hard. Okay, so this was the last door on practice, not anymore. So let's see what's in this room. Yeah, it's the storm again, but the storm is redesigned, and we're going to show that right now. Still looks as great as it does on practice as far as in the background and all that stuff. Also, still a case of going in here. Actually, this is the same. Okay. So yeah, the item layouts do change, but in that one, it is not changed for practice. But I guess sometimes the thought of saying, do I necessarily need to go down that way? Also, wait a sec. That geyser's there already. What's going on here? We do have to kind of figure the puzzle as far as where to go for the end of the level a bit differently. In the last one, as far as practice, it was pretty straightforward. For this one, you gotta think a little outside the box. Actually, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the end, just because I want to show the end. There's some differences here. Also, you have the bridge is collapsing, but not too bad as far as how that is. But here, because it's more open, you have to really time where the fish are gonna come up and bounce on them to get across. Otherwise, just going down the water. They're not well, okay, that's not true. There are bottomless pits here, but... actually, wait a second. Are there? Okay, yeah, come over here and you get stars. I thought there might be one. The next stage has bottomless pits of plenty. That I do know. Okay, so that was close to where the end is, but like, wait, no, that's not gonna work. We can't go that way. So you have to think through as far as what the puzzle's gonna be of saying, I gotta go this way. Get out of the way, please. Yeah, because unfortunately you can't attack out in the water, and you also cannot jump out of the water. That's something that Land of Illusion on Game Gear would indicate. Okay, oh, there you go. That's not the right way. I actually have to go backwards. Actually, you do have to go into, like, the earliest pool, or one of the earliest pools in order to get it. I think it's... Okay, it's not this one. I mean, I know where it is, it's just that I was saying, okay, I guess I never really kind of sat down and said, let me memorize the map of this level before, or any of the maps. So if you're going hard, you have to do that. You have to know exactly what you're doing as far as exactly where you are, and everything about the level that you can, and where the enemy placements are, where they're going to appear, in order to get any success. Okay, so you do actually have to jump in pretty early. Ow. Yeah, but the fish are in your way. Just basically swim out and try and coax them out of the area of where you gotta go. You gotta go down here. No, that's not it. Okay. Okay, I think I've shown everything as far as what that is. So, at this case, I do know where I gotta go. I gotta go... Okay, I'm gonna look back on the video on that. It looked like... I don't know if I just barely got hit by the bat or not. Okay, so, don't go on the first one. Right, it's the one to the right of here, that's what it is. But nothing else really elevating on what practice was doing. That's why I'm kind of giving it this much time. Of saying, they could just say, oh, we'll just make practice hard at the same levels. In this case, like, let's redesign it, so you have to go there, you're going underneath the other ones, and boom, out we come. I really thought this through really well. As we're going to the water cave, this is where things are going to get really hard. Because, below there is going to be bottomless pit. There's enemies all over the place. There are also instant kill water geysers that can come around, and I should not be in the direction of that thing. I mean, we're gonna see deaths here that are not, you know, me falling in the leaf pit. It's here. The good news is not too hard to get a sense of where you're gonna have to go. And if you want to have success here, try and take the high road. You can take the low road a little bit, and there'll be fish that come out from the bottom of the screen that you bounce on, including right there. And they dither the waterfall nicely. It's a nice effect, but this also means in case that you do have to kind of look and say, okay, what am I looking at there? Where is it? Yeah, right there. If you get hit by that, that's an instant death, so do not touch that. They do go off on interval, by the way, and Okay, let me rephrase that. They go off when you pass certain thresholds. Right there. Although, I have seen them go off on interval at certain areas when I didn't move. But you have to wait a long time for that to happen, and generally speaking, you don't want to wait that much, although you do have to not dawdle necessarily. Not because of time limit or anything, but just because you don't want to stay here any longer than you have to. And now at this point, you have these platforms that are one block small. So you'd be dead on with your platforming, but the way the controls are, you're going to love the floaty jump for that very reason, because it means that you have pinpoint precise precision that you can use to make these jumps and also to get the star over there. You also want to take your time here because what's going to happen is the geysers are going to come up, and one of them is at the end of the level. So if you're too fast, you can jump into that and you instantly die, and you have to do this all over again. So it's just take it nice and easy. Remember, you don't have a time limit, so you can just sit back and relax, enjoy the great atmosphere. That one comes from behind, like, uh-oh. You're like, ugh, gets you kind of nervous. So again, in my case, that case of being a young child, saying, not that I was getting started with horror games like Resident Evil. I mean, Resident Evil didn't exist when I was playing this. But, case of saying, yeah, it's like, oh, wait a second, there's a bit of danger. So it is, as I said, the idea that Mickey doesn't have lives, not dying, it's buttressed by the fact that, yeah, there's still a case of tension going on here that is very palpable and natural. Ooh, look, right there, yeah, if you touch that, you're gonna die. So you gotta be careful, and we made it. And this next area is also a bit hard because it's kind of a flooded cavern, or flooding cavern. Hearing the water going on there, it rises up here. It's not an instant death when you touch that, but if you touch it, you get pushed backward and you take damage. And you have to get a sense of when is the water safe to jump in. Basically wait until it's pretty much right at the bottom of the screen. Again, it goes on an interval, and it's also sometimes a short interval, and if you miss it, you get pushed back like that and it hurts. So I'm glad I got to show that, but I don't want to show it again, because for this part, you basically have to be perfect of that. And if you do need to get yourself moving faster, jump, 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 because you do move faster when you jump repeatedly, and then when you land, jump again. If the movement's too slow for you, you can use that as a strategy, and I'm going to assume the Lost speedruns will use that. There's actually not a game of speedrun before. Right there! They just give you barely enough time to make that, so I think they intend you to have to do that. And the game doesn't tell you anything about that, so you do have to kind of figure it out yourself. But again, patience can help. If you're wondering why is it flooding, that's why, because right there, yeah, right there, there's water coming out of that, but we're set, we're done. Okay, boss, we're gonna fight the Storm Men. This is a bit different because this is the only boss in the game that does not have multiple or different changing hits based on difficulty. What happens is he's gonna launch out. He launches out starting here, and then he moves over about a block. And he can do that Mirage attack. You can hit him with an apple or a marble, I should say. Okay, I hit him, but I died. And that's what happens when you die. You get knocked off and you're back. You do come back with your marbles, though. Basically, for this battle, what I'll tell you to do is, as far as strategy is, know that he'll jump starting here, and he moves about a block ahead. So at that point, he'll move a little bit ahead, so if you time that, you can then bounce on him and get a bead, and I'm going to want to do that when we get to hard. In that case, just hit him and go left a little bit. Get the bounce ready, because when he comes down, you reset. Also, don't touch the pillar over there, otherwise you're going to get yourself pushed away. Got him. So not too bad, but still a case where you have to learn that pattern. I actually sat down and I said, what's the pattern of him? Because of heart. That's the main reason I'm doing that. But in that case, we're done. We got the yellow gem. You're a brave mouse. Continue on. You can't rest until Minnie's safe, and we will not. Alright, another great secret bonus, though. Look at all those points I'm getting on that. And there's another life. Fantastic. Okay, so we went through the 3 areas that we went in practice, but what else is left that we didn't see? Well, second floor, that's one thing. But also perhaps the most iconic area in any of these Illusion games of any of them. And that is the library. I love the perspective of the library. It's very proper, and as far as like the sound, they sounds high class as far as that, but also in case wait a second, this is a unique library. There's writings on the books. I thought those might be members of the development team, but from what I could tell, I didn't see anything. Even as far as pseudonyms of the development team, which actually, going back briefly to that article I mentioned from Ken Horowitz, this was not indicated that way, but we often said this. We'll see as we get the credits. The people who worked on this game, they went under pseudonyms, and I was always saying, wait a second, why'd they do that? Were they not wanting to know us to know who they were? Apparently there's a suggestion, I think he mentioned in this article, he didn't say that this was exactly the reason, but a thought that, based on the great work that the people who worked on this game and other games did, sometimes they were fearing that, I guess in Japan, the thought that other companies want to poach them. It's like, hey, you know, we'll offer you more money to work for us. So I said, oh, work under a pseudonym, because then they won't know who they are. They can't, alright, we're gonna keep our great talent to ourselves, maybe. And when it comes to Emiko Yamamoto, I get that perspective. And yeah, this attack there is brought to you by the letter A. Because, yeah, you have A's bouncing around there. And they're not easy to avoid here. They can hurt. And then, snails or, like, worms or something. But not too bad. Yeah, the A's are the worst part as far as what can hurt you here. But also, we have this milk bottle. It's like, yeah, why is a spilled milk bottle in a library? Well, in World of Illusion, there's a lot of confectionery stuff going on here. And this is kind of where it started. We're going in the milk bottle. Yeah, we're going to, like, the Candyland area as far as it, or, like, the graham cracker area. You do have, like, the milk down there. If you fall into that, that will be a death, so don't do that. Okay, it will be a death now because I only want a bit of help. But if you're standing on the cookies there and they go underneath, you'll be fine. And you also have the gummy dolphins or whatever they are, as far as that. And to point out when we get to the boss here, actually the way the boss was designed was actually something that was part of, was provided by Sega America. They kind of worked closely with Sega Japan on this one, but they had the input saying, like, wait a second, what's this boss? And it's in the candy area, what should this be based on as Unfortunately Dead? We'll get to that in a sec. But also the case of the tempo kind of picking up on this one, and as we go along, it's gonna get even faster. Uh-oh, something's getting crazy in here. I mean, it's a crazy area, but it also looks so delicious and, again, magical. The same way that a lot of stuff with Disney tends to be, as far as the case where people remember this kind of thing. Like, oh, I remember going to the library, I remember going to the candy area. As far as this, seeing the gummy dolphins, or I don't know, like Swedish fish or something like that. And also going on Candy Bridge, that one bounces, the other one collapsed in, but in this case, we keep going and be set. And there's the Candy Canes holding it up. Also the graham cracker platforms. Let's jump on that, and again, you'll be safe as far as standing on these, even though they're going to go into the milk. In this case, I'm not even going to bother. It's actually kind of like the spinning platforms that we had in Mega Man 7 when we played that a couple weeks ago. In that case, I probably should have taken that risk, but I did anyway, because I'm fine with this game doing it. Alright, we're at the exit, but wait a sec, we beat a level within this level and got a gem, huh? Yeah, this is a part of the game where they're going to give you more gems in levels. So actually, in this case, we get 2 of them. In this case, we got the green one. Okay, now try to get past the study room. Alright, so we're going to have to do that next. Because we do have to go in there as far as the milk bottle, because that opens up another area. Alright, so they put the lid on that, and now we gotta go this way, but what it does, it opens up the top area. Talk about great attention to detail. We have the ropes again, but unlike before, yeah, it's a lamp, and when you jump on it, it turns the lights out. I love that attention to detail. My god, and when we come off of it, it turns the light back on. It's just beautiful. It's one delight after another with this game as far as everything about it, in terms of how it looks, sounds, and plays, so it's kind of the perfecter, really. Everything you want in a video game is here as far as that. You want a good-looking game, you want a great-sounding game, you want a game that plays well, this game is going to satisfy all those things. And you can bounce on that worm there. If you have an apple, just toss it at him. Don't bother. Also, we have books there. They will start coming down when you jump on there, but you gotta be careful. Basically, just keep walking, or in that case, go down there and be set when it comes down. They won't kill you if they hit you, but they will hurt. Alright, so it says the study room. Now, it's optional to go in here, but I'm going here anyway. We're going to the teacup. Now, we're not gonna get scalded, but it is a case where it's a bit cloudy in here. And you have, like, the spinning sugar cubes, so you gotta be careful as far as where they are and keep an eye on where items are in here. That's the reason to come in here above anything else. It's kind of like the cotton ball containers in World of Illusion. That had the library, too. Which I think was kind of a takeoff on this, but also saying, what can we do differently that we didn't do in that game? Now, come through there, that does put the lid on. It's worth pointing out, I probably should have went up here first, because when you go into the teacup, the items respawn. So it's a case where there is health up there. So if I had not done that, and you just make that jump specifically to get that, I could have said, hey, I'll grab that health, I'll go in the teacup, and then I'll come back and I'll get another one. I'll be doing that when I get to hard. Don't you worry about that. Alright, yeah, just gotta get it set on the toss. Also point out, for the apple there, when you walk in the apple, it's another one that's gonna roll down the hill. But when I walk to the next to it, it's not gonna hurt me. It's just when I start either going down that hill or I jump on the lamp that does something. Yes, let it go. I don't care. In this case, I'm gonna... Oh, no, yeah, the A's in the way. No, I don't want the A give me trouble. Actually, I've never... No, I want to see something. Since the enemies respawn, and I'm savoring this game, clearly, I want to see if there's anything up there. I don't think there is, but just wait. Okay, there's not. I wasn't sure. I've never been up here before. So, like, yeah, Biggie's like, yeah, what's this? Oh, we made it. I'm coming over here for a couple of reasons, though. Yeah, the A is killing me. Damn. But, okay, worth pointing out this. It is also, that's another reason why you do want to go into the teacup. The teacup acts as a checkpoint if you die. Although, if I died beforehand, we would have went back to where the milk bottle was. So, this level actually does have checkpoints. In fact, it is... it's the only level in the game that has checkpoints. Normally, what happens when you get a death is you have to go back to the beginning of the area you're at. But this, the library is the only place where it has that. Oh, I guess then, maybe this is technically a case of having multiple areas within one area. We're just going to different locations. Okay, if the A's are getting you down, like they're clearly getting me down, crouch and toss, because if you're standing, you throw the apple, it goes right over them and does nothing. In that case, yeah, the A's have to get back. And there are extra items over here, which I do want to go get, just because I can get them. In this case, yeah, I can't avoid the A's, and I have to also use them, going down that, or going through the hole over there, going through the door. Yeah, I come down here, but I also have to bounce on the A, or use that specifically, say, jump, please go up there, and, okay, I made it. Fantastic. Get 2 bits of health, and also apples that I don't think I necessarily need, but I'm going to grab that. You know what? A is for apple, and A is for, oh, they're coming up. Wait, the A's are coming on the milk. I never actually noticed that. A is for, those things need to die. Who knew letters were so deadly? But that also is a case of me saying a sentence that you normally think you wouldn't be saying in a game like this, but that's why I love that. Oh! Oh, was that the plane? I guess the plane there. Okay, there's another one of these teacups. I'm going in here because I think there's health in here. And you do get the music from the spider web over here, if nothing else, so I do love hearing it. Very dreamy. In fact, I gotta get a sense of where I'm gonna end tonight's show for the music. Because I always like doing that, although I'm not gonna be there that long this time because I'm not gonna go into schedule fully. We'll do that tomorrow night. Okay, so when I was running down, it was a case of the plane. Actually, I've never got a case where I was running down the hill before and I ran into an enemy. So it's not like the ropes where you swing into them and you're gonna be fine as far as killing the enemies. In this case, no. Alright, so there's the milk. This is where the boss is. This is going to be... Yeah, the boss... Yeah, the Sega America came with the idea of this. This is the licorice dragon. He said, hey, we're in candy area. What do you want to have this be? He said, yeah, look at this. It's licorice. He also looks a little like Pete's Dragon. There's also something that World of Illusion would do because the second boss in that game also is a takeoff from Pete's Dragon. Basically what you want to do is you wait till he hits his head out and he'll either go in an arc like that or it might go directly towards you. If you're kind of close, do the bounce and just stay in place, you should be able to hit him. You can also hit him with the apples, and on hard, I might want to do that. Okay, that's where it also can be tough when he is close and he hits out that way. Alright, got him. Alright, there's the blue gem, we got that. You're a very strong mouse, we still have more to do before you can reach Minnie. That's the other thing I think about this. It's a small thing, yes, but the way the text goes. It is a great motivator to the player, and also for children who are saying this, saying like, you're a very strong mouse, and, you know, I'm doing a good job. The game is acknowledging that. But it feels genuine. It's not a case of it seeming like a backhanded compliment or seeing like, oh yeah, I'm giving you credit for, you know, not doing anything, you know? Alright, we got through the library, and last up is... Oh, well, sort of last up. Is this area. This is the last door. What could be inside? Alright, so we are at the castle, right? Isn't that what I had? Yeah, the castle. Okay. In this case, it's like Castlevania, going back to that from a couple weeks ago. You're picking up the candles, you're tossing fireballs out. Anytime you see the candles, just pick them up, and Mickey's going to be tossing candles. But be careful of the axe guys there. When their eyes go off, they'll slice down, so just jump out of the way. Definitely sounding a bit more menacing because we're getting the Masonites going on. They'll also throw out maces you can bounce on them, though. So Mickey is pretty strong in being able to do that, but yeah, you go. Like that. Actually, I want to see something. I don't know. I didn't actually test this because I'm curious. Just yeah, you do not get points for bouncing on the mace. You only get points for bouncing on the enemy, which makes sense. I just kind of was thinking to myself, hey, maybe what if I do this? I'll tell you, my play of this game nowadays is not, oh, what do I do as far as a challenge? In my case, it's saying, what happens if I do this? Oh, wait a second, I shouldn't have done that because there's items over there. But remember, regenerating enemies means I can go off screen and they'll be back. So in this case, just wait till they come by and either bounce on them or bounce on the maces. In this case, I'll use the mace. There you go. Like, yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, 4 candles and 2 stars. Definitely want to have that. Because this area is filled with things that can kill you really quickly. I mean, this is the end of the game, so clearly it's a case where it's going to be harder. Yeah, you have these platforms coming down, or these, blocks. They will come down sometimes on an interval, but they also sometimes won't come down in the order you expect. This one, they will. Is running, and now right there, like, yeah, the lightning is crashing out there. Something dangerous is happening. Okay, yeah, it's right here, because what happens is that goes down, but the second one doesn't come down, but it comes down later. You have to kind of go there, stop in the middle, because then that crashes down, so actually it's a lot harder to avoid that than it looks. I kind of had to fake them out, basically, or time it, I think, when the first one goes down, and then it comes up, and then run underneath, because, yeah, you're seeing there, the second and the third one come down a bit later. Which is not what you expect, but that's also something that makes it kind of interesting. Alright, I gotta be careful, because if I get hit again, I'm gonna die. We also have that rolling boulder. It doesn't kill you in one hit, but since I only have 1 hit point left, I'm gonna die if I get hit by that. In this case, yeah, burn him. Yeah, he has like a metal thing. You think, oh, that's gonna protect him from that? No, it's not. It's not gonna protect him from Mickey's fireballs. But when I run down here, I need to make that jump, because if I fall in that goop there, that's an instant death. And And again, even though this is a child-friendly game, it is looking very menacing over here as far as, like the cannonball, whatever that is, rolling around, the dungeon with the grates over there, the chains there, so they might be doing, I don't know, torturing people in here for all we know. I mean, it lets your mind fill in the blanks, and I love it. Okay, over there's where we have to go, but I want to go to the left because there's diamonds, but I was hoping for health. I could use some health, but it's not too bad. That being said, those platforms fell, so what I gotta do is I have to either go down to where the ball is again to make them come back, or I gotta bounce on the mace as it comes out. I'm gonna try the latter method. Ugh, just missed it. Okay, at least I got to show both ways, saying, okay, if I can't do that, come down here, the platforms come back. In this case, just wait, jump, jump. There we go. Also, you have those bubbles there. You can bounce on them to get across, and we're gonna have to do that a little bit. Or you can just avoid them, or in this case, I can jump and bounce on the top there, because I think there's... no, I just pounce on there for, getting up to the top. In this case, hold left, because this is gonna go down into that vat, and if I get hit by that, again, it's death. And now they put them over this, so they're gonna fall. It's like, that jump, be careful. You see, like, the bubbling down there, like, yeah, that looks dangerous, and they're right to emphasize that. So instinctively telling the player, yeah, don't screw around, otherwise something bad's gonna happen to you. But also giving you the tools you need for the controls to make it so that, yeah, I can get through that. Alright, there's the chattering skeleton bridge. Alright, we're out. And with that, we got one more gem. Gonna fall down, grab the indigo gem. Alright, one more, and we'll go save Mickey. Or Minnie, I should say. But with that, we're going down into the dungeon even more. And go in the water, so yeah, we can't get out of this, and we can't throw our fireballs underwater. Now, here it gets a bit difficult because when we go through this, as soon as we pass by, there are going to be fish that are going to spawn right behind us. And I gotta get a sense of which way I gotta go. I think I gotta go this way. Actually, no. Okay, I did have to go that way, because they'll spawn behind you and you have no recompense as far as being able to survive that. So you have to keep swimming and swimming and swimming and hope you get out in time, and they give you just enough time to get through. So you can make it, but it's not going to be easy. In this case, swimming as far as hitting C, I don't know if it makes me go fast. But in that case, yeah, just have to go down and be set. I think in this case, yeah, just go this way. Like, there's a great sense of tension saying, uh-oh, are you gonna make it? Is Mickey gonna make it? Yeah, you just make it. Alright, we made it, and there's the door. We're out. Thank God. Alright, now we're at the clock tower. So it's a vertical climb. This is gonna be a bit of a case. Not my practice, I'm not gonna lie. I did have some trouble doing this where I kept going up to the top and I kept falling. Uh-oh. Well, if nothing else, enjoying the atmosphere here. And another game of the clock tower, although I don't know if it's going to be as much of a nerve-wracking case as it was for Castlevania Chronicles a couple weeks ago. But still a case of giving you a sense of, like, the tension of, I guess, what's going to come up as far as the final battle, because you get the kind of semi-cacophonous music, the dee-dee-dee-dee, and you go like, and it's like, uh-oh. Also, you jump on these gears, they fall. In this case, just walk in between where they're going. Just wait till they come down and then make a move. But also they spin, so in that case, you're gonna have to be careful that way too, so you can make that jump. That's where this gets pretty difficult. And the bats will keep on coming, so gotta keep that in mind. At least I have full health, so that's good. Oh, I just missed getting hit by that. As far as hitting onto that platform or jumping there, you do have to hit it kind of when it's at the bottom there. Circle. Alright, I got onto that, but then I said, no, I don't. I guess I'm not feeling that. Ooh, okay, that was lucky. I thought for sure I was gonna hit by that. Especially here, is yeah, the bat. Okay, I wanted to burn the bat, but I guess I couldn't. Alright. In this case, basically wait until it starts falling and then make the jump. And again, it gives you just enough distance to make it, but also in case it's like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? It is that great tension with saying like, I know I can make it in my heart of hearts. And then you realize, oh yeah. Except now, that's going over that way, and then that's gonna start moving, so, yeah, the direction of how they're spinning is gonna be something you gotta be careful. And that's not an insta-kill, by the way. If they crush you, they just hurt you. Oh, I made it. Actually, that was way smoother than when I did on the practice. Alright, so here's the way out. We got the boss here. This is the Oafish Clockmaker. He's a takeoff, by the way, on Willie the Giant from the Disney, I guess the Disney, was it? It's a vignette, I think. Fun and Fancy Free. I think it's like a vignette. Yeah, basically, yeah, wait till he gets close. And wait till he gets angry like that. He'll do the swipe of the hammer at you, and then that's your opening. If you don't, he'll have his hand up, and you can't do anything. So basically just wait, but he'll also sometimes jump at you. And his force can push you back. Also, I guess in that case, his sweating pushed me back. I gotta be careful because otherwise I'm gonna die. Thankfully, his red skin gives a sense you're getting closer to killing him. Come on. I got him. I was getting nervous with him, even though it's a case where I usually get the sense I have it. But also a case that I tend not to fight that boss much because, I don't know, I get the sense that I memorize the other bosses in this game more than that one. There you go, that's the purple gem, we got them all. So now we have all 7 gems we need, so instead of paying off Miserable, we have to go to the tower and we have to get her back, get Minnie back, and fight our way. Okay, so there you go, that's the end. So we got our last challenge, and then we're gonna try hard, we'll see how that goes. I mean, already I'm like an hour and a half in, and yeah, this is not gonna be a long show. Hence why I said I know I could do this show and the tomorrow night show as far as that. Alright, so we're back outside the castle. There we go. So there's our rainbow collection. There we go. They create the bridge we need to go inside. Let's go fight Miserable and get Minnie back. Okay, here's Miserable as well. So yeah, finally, we found you. We want Minnie back. You're saying, nah, not without a fight. Yeah, she's taking the Maleficent form as far as the Sleeping Beauty. Basically, what you want to do is you want to wait till she'll teleport somewhere as far as these 4 areas, based on where it is. When she's in the center, that's good. She'll basically get the ghosts going on there. Then she'll spread them all out in a distance, bounce on her. If you have her appearing in the center down there, that's the best you can hope for. If not, you can jump and kind of be okay, but then when she spreads off, basically you want to move off to the side and then come backwards to try and hit her to avoid the ghosts. Well, I might die. And that's why I got 6 tries and 2 continues. There you go. That's the pattern you want because you can stand here and be safe. It is random where she's gonna appear. Ah, crap. Sometimes it's better to take the death, honestly. I do love the sound also, the hitting. Dude. It almost sounds like a ghost, but also something that's very appealing. Like, yeah, I know I'm doing damage. Whoa! Yeah, because you can bounce on those things and it'll be okay, but it's also, because of the way she spreads them out when she calls them in, and also when she shoots them off, oftentimes you get in a case of saying, oh yeah, I'm gonna get hit by those things accidentally. Ow. Or jump onto her and not hit her right. And she'll also go away quickly, so if you miss your mark like I did, that's the problem. But also seeing if I can get over to her in time, which I can't, so in that case, I'll cut my losses. Wait. Oh no, she's right there! Okay. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's just a case of, maybe because of the final boss case, that perspective thing, like, uh-oh. I'm in trouble. And also, you're doing only 3 hits to, or 3 hit points, so that can be a little bit of a case, but it's not too bad. Just wait till we get to hard. If I even get here on hard. Oh no. Okay, so that's one thing you can do. She goes up on the top, go over on the side, and then wait till she shoots the ghosts back. In that case, I'm saying I'm gonna go over this way, go up the side, and get her. Maybe just wait till you can be safe in order to bounce on her, or bounce on the ghosts around her. Yeah, like that. Perfect. I still got hit, you're seeing there. It's kind of a precise thing. Alright, got her. We're done. And flashing warning kind of here. Yeah, we are using the power of that, and we did transform her back. So she is not exactly the way she looked as far as the Snow White case, not the Maleficent case we just saw, but a little smaller. Like, uh-oh, this place is coming down. We're trapped. I think even Miserable is saying, alright, we got the beauty off, we taught her a lesson, and she's gonna help us out. She's saying, alright, I'll change my ways. She does look more peaceful this time, so maybe the case is that she had a curse planted on her. Which I don't think the remake goes into. So I think the idea is that she's just been corrupted as far as evil. And I guess we just had to knock some sense into her. But we did get the gems, we did get the evil energy out, and all that stuff, and we're all set. Alright, she leads us over by the cliffside. Alright, thanks for doing that, and yeah, we'll forgive you for kidnapping Minnie. But here she is, she's safe. Yeah, my hero. Thank you so much, Minnie. Appreciate it. Okay, so that's the game as far as this, but hard is next. Oh boy, this is gonna be interesting. And we get the final waltz, as we're pointing out, as we're seeing the credits. Yeah, that's fun. That was fun as far as what it was. Even hard is gonna be fun, but I just have never beaten it before. As much as I've tried, you're gonna see, again, how it takes a game that I can beat in 10 minutes, a game I can beat in about, I don't know, actually, like an hour, maybe. And then this one, like, okay, how's this gonna go? And also, how am I playing it compared to how we played it before? I can be a little more loose as far as what I'm doing on normal. But on hard, I gotta be really precise. I mean, I bet Edwack could probably beat this, or even he. I asked him, I said, "Do you play this game?" He said, "I have, but I've never beaten it." I don't think he beat it either way, as it was. But that being said, it's because he might be able to do this. I should probably put that to him saying, hey, maybe beat this game as far as on the show, the way you did with Sparkster, perhaps. I don't know. I mean, I was going to say Sparkster's a harder game than this. Sparkster does have continues. This game doesn't on hard. We'll see that in just a second. And that's the difference as far as this show compared to when we did it last time. I did not look at it on hard. I just explained what it was. But tonight, we got to do it. That's the case of itself. I'll see if I can do it legitimately. I guess if not, I guess I can save state it. I don't want to. I want to do it the 1990 way. I'll try that, but either way. We'll go. Yeah, you are seeing all the great people who made this game happen, and thank them so much still, because, God, I love this game so much. I'll sound like a broken record as far as that, but I'll go into it more when I go to my final thoughts. It's basically going to be, I love this game, buy it, please, for the love of God. If you haven't played it, play it, please. But I do love the ending waltz, and also a little bit of a touch here that is going to be a factor when we play the remake. And they open with this aspect. It's flashing warning, by the way, for this, just to indicate that briefly, after the end. Because we are done, but there is one last detail. Yeah, flashing warning here. Yeah, because as it turns out, it was a movie we went to see. It is the movie of our adventures that Mickey and Minnie also are in the audience for. The remake opens this way. We'll play the remake at some point. He's like, yeah, hey guys, I'll see you later. Alright, so next, we're going to see you now as far as going through this on hard. You know, I'll have one more look as far as the intro, just to get a sense of reminding me, A, what we're fighting for, again. And also to get myself ready. Not that this is the hardest thing I've ever done in gaming. And I haven't even done this, but still, I've played really hard games on this show. But this is one where the way this game's difficulty works as far as on hard is something I have to focus my attentions differently than other really difficult games I've played. I mean, basically, as I said, I just have to be really, really precise. I have to be very specific of everything. I have to make sure I don't take damage. I have to maximize getting points as much as I can, keep myself going, and that's kind of the idea. Because the way hard's going to run, it's going to run mostly the same way that normal did. And I guess got to pick up items that I can find, but there are not nearly as many to pick up compared to normal. We're going to show that now as far as. Okay, so now the challenge starts as well. Talk about that great ramp up, but I think I'm good. I got myself set. I warmed myself up with practice, definitely on normal. I'm in a good shape on that. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go hard. Let's see how this goes. The story method is the same as far as normal. It doesn't change anything as far as that. God, the difficulty sure is. Yeah, I'll have to overcome Miserable. I'll have to overcome her completely this time, or I'll try to. No promises, but I'm gonna do what I can. Yeah, I gotta be careful. Yeah, he's not wrong about that. And also, you can skip past this, but I'm just not skipping past it because A, I want to savor this, and B, because, yeah, any bit of preparation for me. Take a deep breath, and we'll be able to do it. It's that great reflection when you really think about it of, hey, the long week is over, you finished all your homework, in this case, I came home from work, everything I need to do important this week is done, I can sit down with my Sega Genesis Mini, play Castle of Illusion, or any game of your choice, and say like, oh yeah, I can do this. Okay, it also does increase the point values, because actually the point values are doubled of the enemies. I killed them on normal, and they're worth 200 points, now they're worth 400. So another incentive of saying kill enemies. All you're seeing there, I only have 2 power spheres instead of 3, or the 5 we got on practice. Remember those days? Feels like it was, I don't know, an hour ago. We're also seeing more enemies, and there's the bouncing tree stump guy right away. In this case, it's one of those things that I am running a bit of a risk here of saying I want to kill every enemy here, because it means that I get more points, yes, but also if I take a hit, that's going to be a problem too. Yeah, especially because they have the birds here now. In that case, I'm not going to necessarily go after the bird. And also, the flowers, they shoot out the, I guess, the spit or whatever it is, basically instantaneously. In this case, there you go. There's that bird. Boom, boom. So it changes your perspective, and then that one appears behind. Not bad. That's just a case you have to be ready. I mean, the game does give you enough warning of saying, hey, here's this enemy's coming, and so it gives you enough time to think, okay, how am I going to plan for this? Also, by the way, one thing I didn't mention is the flowers, they'll alternate their shots. Okay, not that time they won't. They made a liar out of me, moving between left and right. So I'm buying that one left, now it's going right. Now it's going right again. I don't know what changed it, but okay, there we go. All you're seeing, I didn't pick up any apples. There's no apples here. I mean, I think there's still pickups for it somewhere, but not right there aren't. In this case, I gotta do my jumping as far as this. Alright, and now they have, mushroom enemies on this, so I have to be very careful. Uh-oh. The same case as before, saying, okay, we bounce on that, there's another birdie. In this case, just keep going, and yeah, remember that life there on normal? It's not there anymore. I might show the run over later as far as the apple. Okay, good. Yeah, I don't want to have that happen now. Okay, now we're going back with the leaves. Yeah, this is the place I died last time. Well, here's the thing. The leaves move on their own now. So, it's changing aspects of the levels as well, saying, oh yeah, I usually jump on that to control when it moves. But there's still some that move anyway. And actually, the fact that these are moving create a little more of a challenge for one thing in particular. I'm taking that shortcut. I don't care. Whoa. In this case, I have to crouch underneath. There's also more birds around. Also, that leaf, it passes through that other one, and if you're walking over that, you can kind of hit it wrong and fall. So I guess in some ways that's maybe a fault as far as this, but in case that you gotta be really, really careful. I mean, I'm at full health, that's good. Well, okay, I'm not going down for that this time. I mean, I don't need the points that bad. Oh no, but then the bird comes. Whoa! Also, I realized, I mean... Okay, but that one will go that way. Ouch. I was gonna say, I actually have not been swearing that much on tonight's show, except once. maybe a reflection of, hey, this is a game for kids, and I didn't want to do it on the practice mode, but on hard, all bets are gonna be off on this one, because, good lord, whoa. We'll see how it goes, but I just realized, okay, I haven't been doing that, but I was thinking back in my mind, saying, hey, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't for the practice, but hey, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The reason it happens is not because of, you know, I'm necessarily planning that, unless I'm, like, quoting something or someone. But just because sometimes it's a natural thing of saying, oh, what happened here? Like, I'll have just a reaction. Kind of that case of just your first time natural reactions on the game. It's me saying, like, oh shit, this happened. There you go. That, and also, I guess, like, maybe gotten a little bit of realization of saying, hey, when I was seeing some of my family as far as that, some of them are married with kids, and saying, like, hey, I do this show. It's like, hey, maybe my children's watch. I don't know. I'm not sure if you watch this show, or how you should watch it. They can watch this game. Fine, even with what I just said, they can watch that to a certain extent, I think, you know? Or segment it off saying, hey, here's the practice mode, it's wonderful, and you can get the sense of that anyway. Still loving the atmosphere in here, but let's see, what's over in this wall? If we got, gems, okay, still gems, and health, but, okay, I got some apples, but only 4. So this, level does not want me to have apples. But I still have full health, so that's a miracle. I basically want to hold on to that as much as I can. I mean, it'd be amazing if I can actually beat this thing the way I'm going, but I'm not going to make promises. I'll try, though. Because clearly that's always what I do. I want to put on a good show, but also when it comes to something difficult I'm doing on a game, I want to be ready. I want to do it right, and I'll give it my all. It's for a game like this that I adore, so, I mean, I guess it goes to the angry video game nerd's perspective when he was talking about Ninja Gaiden, saying that I love this game, I want to complete that love. I guess in that way it's kind of my case with this one. Alright, and also since I don't have a whole lot of apples to throw, I can throw through here, but I also say, well, what do I want to do? You have to maybe make a choice of saying, do I walk through this, or crouch down, or sort of crouch down. If I'm going to do that way to minimize my usage. But if you are going to do that, I'd say probably aim for the ones on the ceiling. Okay, so I basically just came over here to get the power back that I lost. And honestly, I don't care too much about having apples for the boss because I'm gonna bounce him anyway. And it takes double hits no matter what I do. I mean, even if I wanted to fight him the apple way, I wouldn't have enough. Also, Old Oak Tree, he has another aspect to himself. He moves faster on the ground, so that's something you gotta be careful about. Oh, shit. Yeah, crap. Yeah, I also got unlucky the way the acorns were, so I wasn't able to avoid them. He will eventually start rolling on his own if I don't do anything, but it's also the case that you don't know where the acorns are gonna come. It's random. On normal and hard. I mean, nothing else when I get him, I'm probably gonna need a life. Or if I don't, I'll get him my points for the level. So yeah, it is a case where they really thought of everything when they said how we're gonna run this from practice normal and hard. Yeah, practice normal and hard. I was thinking something else. Whoa. That was lucky. They really said, okay, no bosses on practice, bosses on normal, and then bosses with double hits and faster movement on hard. I think that's it. Got him. Fantastic. Right, because it's 10,000 points for killing the boss. Awesome. Got him. Alright, so far so good to start, but this is how my hard runs usually start. They start really well, and then they collapse. I guess to give a little bit of a perspective, and I didn't even get a secret bonus, even though I thought I got every item. Or maybe it is a case where it's number of items left times 1,000 on hard. I didn't think it was. But anyway, the furthest I got, I think I did get up to the Oafish Clockmaker, and that's where I died to him. That was... God, I'm trying to remember when I did that, or when I tried to do that. Oh, right, I forgot. That's the other thing. My health, they take it down to its default on, in between levels, so I'm back to 2 hit points now. No. He needs to die. Or, no. I don't... He'll come back. I mean, they're gonna respawn. I mean, you can just stay here and just farm enemies if you want to. Okay, get 9 tries, or however many tries you put on that life meter. Oh, no! That was the thing, because I was kind of in between the 2 planes. I said, I'm bouncing up. It's like, wait, there's another one up there. You're seeing there. Oh, no. There's health. Okay, good. Thank God. Oh, no. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. I said, you know, runs for hard start really well, and they just totally collapse. And because there are more enemies, and that one just walked off, said, like, I don't care, I'll just go. Okay, he's a soldier, he's doing his job. Said, okay, I gotta walk off this way. You know what? Let's watch him walk off. Why not? I also love the idea that they stop moving when they fall. Now the initially looks down and says, oh no, I'm gonna fall, but, can't make that jump. Yeah, I can. I'm waiting for her to come here, bounce on him, hope there's not a plane. Okay, there isn't, but... Yeah, I think there's something over there. I do want to go get it. So the other thing is, if you can go around and see where there's items... Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay, there's marbles. I don't want them that badly. Jump! Yeah, that thing was gonna come up and kill me. You're seeing now, I'm being very specific on every jump I'm making. I was like, I don't even know if I want the marbles that badly. I feel like in some ways my bounce is more reliable. But also that could help with the planes. Because the planes are everywhere. Yeah, so before I was like, oh yeah, look how cute the planes are as far as how they are. They're flying around, the toy airplanes. Yeah, they're toy airplanes. I didn't actually mention that that's what they were, as far as what they were. I just said they're planes. But in this case, I'm like, oh no, I'm seeing every enemy as a threat, pretty much. So if nothing else, it's showing that mindset that now Hard's putting me into. There we go. Alright, we're almost there. And thankfully, when we run down, the enemies are gonna stop. I think. There we go. There was nothing up there, was there? I mean, do I really care? No, I want to just keep going. Not that anything's gonna hurt me anymore, but I just don't want to stay here any longer. Whew, there we go. Alright, that got a little hairy, but alright, we're set. And also, as we're pointing out, by the way, a little late to mention this, but your tries are 0 tries does not count as that, so I have 4 there. So I gotta be careful as we go. I was gonna be preemptively throwing those... Right, because I remembered, the clown comes there, which he did not on the other difficulties. In that case, I'm also waiting because that platform in the center, I don't want to take the risk of bouncing onto the Jack-in-the-Box or the... Yeah, it is the Jack-in-the-Box. Then again, the boss is Jack-in-the-Box too. I don't want to take the risk there of bouncing that way and then hitting the platform and then saying, wait a sec, I'm in trouble. Okay, there goes the clown with the juggling balls there. I'm staying here. I'm not moving. I'm just gonna wait. Come over here and... Oh, no! Oh, no. Alright, this is gonna be tough as well, because I have the Jello and we got the planes. And they're gonna come up. Just wait. Just hope I don't see another plane here, otherwise I'm gonna have to marble the thing. Right there, or wait. Oh no, there's 2 of them. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, look at that. Basically, it's forcing me to kind of go down there and put myself at risk of dying. Alright, there you go. Whew, that was lucky. Okay, in this case, I do have to have marbles because I can't get through the area without them. Oh, shit. At first, I was like, wait, hold on. I knew the clown was coming. And there we go. All right, so that first death. All right, let's see how this goes as we go along. No, wait. Okay, remember where the clown is coming out as far as this, because they're the ones you have to be the most worried about, just like in real life. Okay, good. Okay, at least one thing that's worth pointing out I did not get an opportunity to show is that if you kill the clown and leaves because you lose the unicycle when you kill him, he will go back and forth on whatever platform area he is on. So if he was like right on this area I was standing on, he just bounces between that. So it'll be easy for the picking here, and I'm not going to even bother trying to do anything else but marble him. As you're going down here, go to the left, because in that case I can at least avoid— Oh! I went through that! Never saw that happen before. I didn't want to get that. You! Okay, now jump out of the way, let him go, and kill them. Oh crap, I got hit in the way back. Okay, I've never went through that platform before. Thank God I recorded that. Okay, I don't care enough as far as that. Or I can— what I can do is— Yeah, no, go down there. Oh no. Yes, me waiting was not good there. Alright, keep going. You're also seeing the buoyancy of the gel on the sides, which is really nice. There we go. Ooh, that was lucky. I'm trying to remember, where's the health in here? Nowhere. That's where. He's like, yeah, you want health here? Nuh-uh, you're not getting that. Oh, I'm getting it here. I'll take that. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I'm out of here. I'm not sticking around with that thing. Okay, here we go. So yeah, remember the trick for oh well, there's a massive army of toy soldiers here. Remember the trick with the screen flipping thing? As soon as you see the clown with the juggling ball, hit that to knock him to the ceiling. When this— okay, I was lucky. Or if you're not in a vicinity like that, if you do a short jump, because yeah, the jump is controlled by how much you either tap or hold the C button. You can kind of do like a little hop and then get yourself set for— there you go. Yeah, that ball is gonna hit me and hurt me. Like, in that case, I get to use that to my advantage. My God, it feels good doing that. There's health there. It's not erasing a lot of the health here, I'll say that, so that's good. Look at all the soldiers. So yeah, what am I doing? I don't want to respawn the clown again. Actually, that's what— ouch. And you can bounce on the ball of the clown if you bounce on it. Yeah, actually, that's one thing I didn't mention. When I was looking into the thing as far as how the secret bonus works on the items, I was picking up the apples in stage 1. Apparently, I didn't count them as pickups for some reason. Because how big it did. Actually, maybe it's counting just the— yeah, there's like 3 of these things here. So maybe it doesn't count— no! Yeah, maybe it doesn't count them as items. Uh-oh. Maybe it does. I don't know. I got that. I'm going to boss as far as the Jack in the Box. He's just gonna take more punishments. That's the problem. He mostly looks the same, but he'll oftentimes hit out on the first punch. Okay, same deal, as long as you just keep doing the crouch, you'll be fine, but it's just gonna feel like forever because it takes more damage. And even if he doesn't end up punching as far as when he does the bounce, just keep ducking when he does it anyway, just to be safe. That's too close to the side for comfort. Boom. Get him off. Shit. I got up. I was like, why am I doing that? I think maybe it bounces further. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe it bounces a little further, but if it is that case, it's not very noticeable. I didn't necessarily want to run under him, but I also said probably a better option than letting him hit the side. Whoa! But also because they bounce so high, I also want to get out of the way because he's going to jump toward. He will. By the way, it's worth pointing out one other thing about that. He will always jump towards where you are. Nothing else, you can at least coax him where you need to go that way by knowing that. Oh. Yeah, I feel like I have less room to maneuver. He has to go further a little bit. He's taking so many hits, it feels like, oh god, when is it gonna end? But he's not wasting any time as far as the punches, at least. Got him, thank god. That being said, I lost a couple lives there, and I'm not happy about that. Yeah, I got a long way to go. Jesus, yeah, you're not kidding. Yeah, I got no secret bonus. Actually, wait a minute, no. Okay, I was thinking, is it because I died? Then again, I didn't die in World 1, and I got no... Unless, maybe... Wait, no, hold on. Actually, maybe secret bonus isn't a thing on this. Okay, it's either not a thing in this, or it's a case where you get points for getting no items, which... I think before we're done tonight, I want to put that to the test. Or maybe it's based on the gems. Maybe that's what they count as items. I thought it was everything. And it's a case where I was not able to get a sense of what is it really doing as far as this. And it's not because people don't know this game. They know this game. Although it is worth pointing out, like, who knows this game? That's kind of the question, because... No! Why'd I do that? In fact, I'll regale this story as we go along, because there's not really anything different we haven't seen, except for... Jesus, this is gonna be hard. And that is... Okay, I do wanna... one thing I think of... Oh, crap. I was gonna say, I want to go and get the health, but at this point, maybe I don't. I'll regale one story when it came to Epic Mickey Power of Illusion, when that came out in 2012. Because it came out alongside Epic Mickey The Power of Two, which was the sequel to Epic Mickey from the Wii. They released that, released on every system. It was a complete disaster that ended up shutting down Junction Point Studios, the company of Warren Spector who made that game. And that was his passion project, saying, hey, I want to do something with Mickey Mouse a lot like something like this, or like the Magical Quest. And at Mickey 1, I'm totally on his side. I think that game is way better than its reputation was. And it got remade as Epic Mickey Rebrush, which is worth pointing out. Emiko Yamamoto did produce that, I should say. Yeah, why am I doing that? Making the same mistakes I've made before. But when that came out, they did the 3DS version, and again, I might get game over here. But I'll give it another shot as far as if I do. When that came out, the people who made that, they did say that they were inspired by Castle of Illusion. Oh, I was like, oh my god, it's like a new Castle of Illusion game. It was before the remake of this came out. I was ecstatic. I was in college at the time, and I was telling people, like, oh, the new Epic Mickey game on 3DS is coming out. I was like, Castle of Illusion, you ever play it? People were like, no, I never heard of that. I was like, what? Oh, I got a life, thank god. It's like, I was like, what? You never heard of this? It's like, I couldn't believe it. But I've always said, I'm one of those people who's like, I don't necessarily shame people for having not played a game, but I tell them, like, you have to play this game. This game is amazing. And I told them that, as it was. I don't know if they... You know, I'll go down here, I don't care. Just because I want to avoid taking hits. But it's something that kind of shocked me. At first, I was kind of asking other people. And mainly, it was a case of people who were not gamers the way I am. I mean, I know people who had played stuff growing up. In fact, I know one of my friends in college... She just described me off nothing. Like, I used to play this Mickey Mouse game with, on Sega Genesis with, Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. I was like, oh, Great Circus Music. Like, how do you know what game that is? Like, yeah, because I played on Super Nintendo. But I said, yeah, I love that game. So they knew that one. But for this one, it was something where... Oh, yeah, I was lucky. And, by the way, the fish will, despawn, by the way, when you hit the water. The ones that are flying in the air. But... Oh, no. Crap. It was kind of a shock to me saying, like, wait a second, are people not knowing this? But then again, it's also the case that I talk to gamers, they definitely know this game. Whether they played it or not, or played as much as I have, is sometimes a different story, but oftentimes a lot of people I've talked to, they'll know it as far as if they played, like, Sega Genesis. I mean, I know people who haven't played it because they maybe are not on the Sega side of the tracks like I was, or they might have been... Or they might be in a different age range of mine and they hadn't played it. The cases where that sometimes showed them something like that, or other games, like, oh wow, this looks really good. But also they can tell the passion I have because they know, like, I'm taking notes on it. What game are you taking notes on this time? I was like, yeah, it was this, it was the game we're doing tomorrow night, and it was I need to go get health, and the stuff that's showcased, and I'm getting game over probably. Right, I'm taking too many risks as far as what it is, but I want to get the health that's hopefully over here. And yeah, okay, it just appeared. Oh no! Uh-oh. Okay, crap. There's health there, which is nice. But I think I wasted too many of my lives trying to get it. And again, I do want to get it. Yeah, let the bats go. The bats are... They're the hardest case, and unlike how they usually go on this level where they go straight in a line, you see they're kind of curving around. Yeah, okay, because if I bounce on that, I'm gonna die. You know what? I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna try and bounce on that. Grab it. There we go. Fantastic. Okay. Okay, that was a risk worth taking as far as that, but yeah, given the way the lives are going, that I'm not feeling. Yeah, I know they're tries, but I'm calling them lives. Sorry, but the idea is the same. I was like, yeah, if I lose a try or die again, take the pick. We're getting game over. I mean, I was expecting to show it, but I also, in a way, was also hoping I wouldn't have to show it on the storm. And maybe I get a little further than this. In that case, just wait. Here we go. Honestly, the bats are the hardest part of this stage, honestly. Particularly on hard. I think I can go down this one. Yeah, I can. This is the way out. The level out is the same, by the way, on hard as is on normal. As far as the way the levels construct. The way the enemies are, that's a different story. Okay, here we go. Yeah, this part. Alright. Also, one of my points, what do you think about this? No, I just got a life semi recently, so that's not gonna help me. I was thinking, how close am I to a life? Oh, no! Alright, so if nothing else, this game's also gonna challenge your reflexes, because I'm saying, oh wait, the bat's coming, jump! And more fish, uh-oh. There are hardly any of them on normal here. But now there's tons. Also, I think there might be more water geysers, or, waterfalls, whatever you want to call them. There's health, there's health. Yeah, anytime you see health, go and get it. Just waiting. Okay, I made it. Yeah, this part... This is the part I'm nervous about. This and actually the boss, although that's... I'm honestly thinking this. Oh no, it's faster as far as how the water's coming up. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. And... Oh no, there's one right there, and I couldn't see him. I don't have anything to hit him. Ow, no. I'm gonna die here. I think. Okay, good. Oh, there's health. The dream lives another day. Yeah, if nothing else, it's showing how now this game that's so fun and fancy free going to that again. Uh-oh. Oh no, oh, no! Okay, if nothing else, when I get hit by that, I'm in the water, I don't get hit by the bats. I got hurt by being pushed back anyway. So alright, it kind of helped. But showing now, it's like, yeah, I feel this tense, like, if I don't do something right, I'm gonna die. You know what? Because there is another bat there. That's why I'm sitting, I'm waiting. It's like, okay, hold on, let's go. Okay, oh no! Crap. Alright, that's game over. Let's show what it looks like. They say you must be brave and smart to save Minnie. Try again, so I got myself hurt bad. Yeah, you must be brave and smart to save Minnie or neither. Try again. So it's not saying you're neither, but it's like, okay, there you go. So that's game over. We are done. We gotta start the entire game over again. Alright, we're gonna give it one more shot. And I don't know if I do cheat then. Well, as I said, cheating, as far as cheating, it's basically saying, hey, since I have the Sega Genesis Mini, I hit the mode button if you got the 6-button controller, or hold the start button for a while. You do save states after everything. And by the way, those save states I have up there, they are not for hard. They're just in case I was checking stuff when I was doing practice. One thing I also want to see is... You know, let's start the game whilst I do this. Because I'm curious, I don't think there are actually cheat codes to this game, as far as the game itself, outside of using a Game Genie. I mean, if I was playing this on Genesis, I could do that, but I'm playing it this way. I'm just curious, because I don't remember if I've ever known, hey, there are cheat codes in this game. Okay, apparently that's one. Yeah, most of the stuff, okay, no, it's like shortcuts out of the Sega Master System version or the Game Gear version, because they're mostly the same. Where stars are, which give you extra health, which is how Land of Illusion works. Apparently if you hit start rapidly on the... You know, I'm gonna try this just because I'm curious. If you get the, when you get to the end of the level screen, if you hit and start repeatedly, you apparently get a life off of that. So GameFAQs says, I don't know if they're lying or not, I'll put that to the test. Because why not? But as far as this, I'm also gonna get my window up on this again. So I swap between those, like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's try again. I'll say, depending on how far I get, if I get really, really far, I will put save state down. But I'll try and do it normally. But I showed you exactly where my struggle comes from. I start strong, and then as it goes on, I get clumsy, and I make mistakes. Ouch. I mean, I was clumsy right there, saying walking into that thing as it was happening, as far as shooting that off. That being said, even though I feel like... Ouch. I'm thinking the Chasm 22 thing. I didn't actually show him this game because... Well, I'd asked him about it. I don't remember if he said he'd... No, he hadn't played it. Oh no, it's Crusader 64. He played it. He played it, and Nodowak played it. But eventually everybody's gonna play it. But since the only release of this I have that is modern is this Genesis Mini, and I didn't bring it in as far as on my work break, and they didn't port this to anything modern, I didn't actually show them the game or have a case of saying, let me show you what I'm practicing now. In fact, actually, that's been the case with most everything until we get to Yoshi's Island in a few weeks. They haven't seen a damn bit of anything I've been prepping for the show because it's all been stuff I've been playing outside of that. And in cases where I don't have something modern to practice it that way. Not that it matters, I can practice it at home either way. It's something where it's like, oh yeah, I got a game, I can kind of use that and kind of take my lunch break as far as work and say, okay, we got Switch dock set up, or we have something else, or I just have my Switch or Switch 2 with me. And just show that way. Okay, well, right, I forgot. I was going to take a look and see about, we'll do it at the end, taking no items and then seeing if I get more of an item bonus, or if they just flat out turn that off on hard. I don't think it makes much of a difference, and honestly, I don't... Yeah, as I said, I'll also try the thing with the start button, see if that does something. Just because I'm curious, I didn't know that exists until right now. Oh, whoa. Okay, I made the bounce, but then it actually hurt me because... Can I get... I want the health at least. Yeah, I can. Okay, I can get that. The other gem I'm okay not getting. You're gonna go down on the ground again, right? They will, by the way, after a little bit of time. Or I lure them out here and say bounce on them. And it's not so instant that they respawn where it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get in that case. I could just get rid of that one. And then just wait. If nothing else, this game is showing, or I'm probably showing this way with this game, is that... Oh, how did it miss him? I guess when he was in that jumping animation, he's not... His hitbox isn't active. Yeah, patience can get you far in this game, but even when you have that, it's a question of being able to pull it off anyway. But nonetheless, also because this game is short, I'll say this. The idea like, oh no. So it wasn't even worth going that way to begin with. Alright, fine, let's go fight the boss. It's something where, if starting this game over from the beginning is not that horrible. Because in that case, alright, I put some time into it, but it's not like, I don't know. Fine, I toss out the most extreme example of this all the time. It's actually, at our lunch break the other day, Enchanted 64 guys talking about, or I think it was a case of questioning of, like, when you're playing games, saying, like, you're playing this game while you're driving, and like, okay, you know, it's not safe to do that, that's true, yes, but then thinking, well, wait a minute, what if you mix the concepts together? What if you have, I don't know, you're playing a racing game or something, but it's coordinating to the idea of how you're actually driving. So you don't have to pay attention to the screen as far as in your car while you're actually doing driving. And we kind of got on this tangent about all these weird accessories, and we're looking up all these accessories, saying, okay, you ever heard of this one? You ever heard of this one? And it's like, Captain G-Track, how many of these do you own? It's like, not as many as you think. And then Crusader 64 just specifically said, on the one, he said, what's that really expensive, massive, huge thing you need the whole table for? I said, oh, Steel Battalion. It's like, right, from Capcom for Xbox. Because that's the extreme case. I explained to other people, like, you ever heard of this game? I said, it's this big-ass mech game where you have, like, 3 pedals on the ground. It's a 40-button thing with 2 massive joysticks. And then there's an eject button that's underneath the plastic lid. You have to flip it up and hit it when you're going to die in order to evacuate. And if you don't do that, it's game over and your save file is completely wiped out. So, like, yeah, that's the insane case of, you know, your difficulty. So, point is that this game is not doing that. Oh wait, I forgot to hit start on the menu, or on the on the end of level thingy. I got so focused on Steel Battalion that happened, or I forgot to do it, which I guess tends to happen. But then again, I mean, it's cheating, okay? So you're right. It is cheating, but I want to see if it works. I mean, I got another life anyway because of the 40,000 points that I had. Also, I suppose it probably should show also, even though I get game over here, show what happens when continue looks like on difficulties to let you have it, which is everything with this. One thing I didn't show last time, and me as well. I think in that case, we'll see how this goes. As I said, this is not gonna be a long show. It's gonna be pretty short. Tomorrow night, that's gonna maybe be a bit of a question. I mean, I guess I'll mention it because I'm not really gonna go into schedule much tonight. And that is tomorrow night. Why did I do that? That's also a mentality I get into, saying, why did I do that when I make a mistake? It's something that, yeah, I should know better not to do that, but I ended up doing it anyway. I was gonna say, tomorrow night we're gonna be playing Shadow the Hedgehog again. Not exactly a game where I'd say I'm gonna be gushing about the way I am about this one. But it is 20 years to the day if it's released tomorrow. So I figured we should show it for that show, but then also say, let's look at the expert mode, which apparently makes the game better, from what I understand, because it gets rid of most of the elements of having to collect items and things going through. And that could be a bit longer because I'm sort of doing that blind a little too, sort of. Alright, let's go. Also, one thing I should mention when I picked the key up, I didn't actually realize this until I was doing my practice this week on this game. And that was, technically the key makes a noise, and I didn't know it made that until this week. So if nothing else shows the case that even though I've been playing this game for over 30 years, I don't know everything about it. No! Yeah, okay, there we go. That was where I was noticing. I was thinking, oh no, I'm bouncing on that. And I'm gonna get myself hit by the Jack in the Box. Yeah, go away, plane. I don't want you now. But also take advantage of the fact that even though enemies are off screen, the game just still registers as being around. Oh, there you go. That might be easier. Stay on the side and crap. I thought it'd be easier, but I was like, no, it's not gonna be. Alright. Alright, so if nothing else is showing me this, which is that, as far as my difficulties of where this game's going now, which is... Oh, there we go, got it. Yeah, so blind shouting off screen is helpful as far as that, or close enough off screen. I was saying that I basically have the Enchanted Forest completely set, so that I can go through that without losing a life. It's just Toyland, that's where where the fall begins. And that's the second world, although, I mean, there are technically only 6 in this game, you really be specific about. Okay, let him go, don't even bother. And then go to the left and bounce, because the toy soldiers, I can't see them down there. There we go. I'm gonna hold on the marble so I can then get rid of the one plane. And when the 2 come around, if I can get the one on the bottom, that actually can be helpful. There we go. Perfect. Okay, good. Fantastic. Actually, that was a smart plan. In this case, yeah, you do get marbles here because you do need them in order to get through this. There you go. Now, remember where the health is. It's over in this one. Alright, there's the clown. Actually, you know what? I never really got a good look at his face before, honestly. Even in all the years I played, I always got the sense it's almost like he didn't have one. Right, he does. Okay. we're almost there, I think, or as far as going through this level. No, I want to hit the, yeah, I want to hit you. Whoa. Go get the health over here. If nothing else, it's also the case where you're basically memorizing the game. You're memorizing where the enemies are going to be, you're memorizing where the items are, and basically memorizing what do you have to do to get through this without taking damage. Well, taking as little damage as possible. Nope. Yeah, probably should have just went and hit that. Do that and then flip. There we go. And it looks great. It's a great looking effect, especially for 1990. I forgot there's 3 of them here. And that, I'll tell you, maybe that's what it is when it comes to where does the fall for this game start to happen when it comes to hard as first for me, and that is I eventually get to the point that I'm remembering everything I can, but then I forget one part of it. Or it's like when we play Contra Hardcore, I said I basically memorizing that whole game. Although even with that one, something that, I don't know, maybe I was just able to put it together better, and also because I practiced 15 months. Dang, okay, let me keep going this way as far as that game. Alright, here we go. So yeah, let's take Jack in the Box down again and try to. I mean, one other thing you can also do in this case, I said that, hey, you know, sometimes you want to hold the C button to bounce higher on the enemies to kind of get a bounce there. In this case, maybe you don't want to, because in that case, you can just bounce off low and hit the ground so you'll be ready to move. Ow, I thought I hit it, but I guess I didn't. So I basically stood through his head. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't want to die here. I died to him last time. So actually, that could be a good thing if I don't die to him this time. Also, pointing out one other thing. I mean, in this case, I've nothing else. I'm just trying to think of, okay, what did I not talk about yet? As far as this game. One thing as far as when it comes to the bounce, when you do it when you're in the air, you're always going to be in that bounce position until you land. So it's not a case where, oh yeah, I bounced there, and I just sometimes come out of that. No. It's just always going to be a case where you'll be set to that. So if you're like, oh yeah, as long as it's C or down on D-pad, you're all set, and you don't have to worry about, you know, losing that ability to hit them or hit anything. I know I'm pretty close. Do like 1 or 2 hits now. Awesome, I got a life. And now I'll know what not to do. Alright, hit start button. Remember, hit start button on this. Alright, I think they lied. Fair enough, I just wanted to get a sense of that. This is hit start as far as that. On that, and it didn't work. Okay, so we're putting it to the test though, so alright, fine, it debunked game facts as far as it. So when you look on there and say, hey, you know, press start to do that, I'll probably put an indication out there saying, yeah, it doesn't work. Unless it's a case where it only works on the Genesis cartridge. This is straight emulating it. It's not the Mega Man 7 thing. I still found that weird that Mega Man 7 is that case where every other re-release of that except the Wii U and the 3DS, well, them not being straight from Super Nintendo actually makes a difference for stuff. What? I think it's one of the only cases of a game I can think of that's like that. Okay, now that I have the marbles, I'm gonna kill these bats with reckless abandon. And I'm also not gonna even bother going after the health. Or also wait, saying they go past, I make my jump. Okay, so this is the next one. This case, pretty much just beeline for the end. As soon as I know where to go, we're good. Okay, fantastic. That's another thing you might just want to say, okay, I don't necessarily want to hang around places for long on hard, just because I need to get my way out, I need to survive. And so far we're doing way better because I have 4 tries going in here as opposed to having only 1. And just remember, yeah, the bat's gonna come there. Or, no, right, he comes off where you are. Right, that's what happens. So I was standing on there when I was doing this a few minutes ago. But what happened was that he came down or off the ceiling to my position, which I think he only does on hard. I don't think that happens at all in normal, as far as I can tell. Okay, so yeah, I've had this part down pretty well. And also being able to see where the platforms are. This game does help you, because in the case where you jump on one that's lower, the camera will be shifted down enough so you'll be able to get a sense of, okay, the next one is going to be somewhere in distance, even when it's like, oh yeah, below you. Like that. So in that case, something there. Oh, like, oh, I can see that there. Boom, boom, boom. We're good. In this case, we're just going straight. But just don't get hit by the waterfall. I just always feel like I'm gonna, for some reason, you know? Eh. Alright, the waterfall. Let's see how this goes. This is where, my last run died. So if I can get through this better this time, that'll be great. Because honestly, the library is going to be a part I'm really nervous about, and it's supposed to be... Ah! Got something that starts with that A. Those A's are going to be a problem for me. I do have this. I can use this. Or I can say, no, just get him out of the way. I mean, nothing else, thank God this game is in times. Just for that very reason. In that case, I can be, or anybody who plays this can just say, oh, right, you know, I'll just sit here and think my path through. And which is not to indicate that, oh yeah, Magical Quest from Super Nintendo is a bad game because it's tied. Far from it, I love that game. Now, my person is right, that's a fantastic game, and I never played it, actually, when we did this last time. They said, I want to see that game, that's my childhood. I said, yeah, you got it. In fact, we actually celebrated that game as well for its, what anniversary we celebrate for that one? Oh, it's 30th anniversary. Right, oh, we celebrate 30th anniversary of both of them. Both in November. So actually, that is celebrating its 33rd anniversary this month. So, there you go. Alright, I got through that flawlessly, thank God. Okay, now we're gonna remember what I said before, saying, know where Storm Man's popping out. Ouch. Doesn't know that it'll pop out a little to the right, or yeah, a little more to the right where he is. In that case, I can just bounce on him and it's no problem. In fact, I loaded this battle up in order to practice this, and there we go, got it. Because I was saying, there's got to be a better way to do it on this. You know, I'm trying that start button thing again. Unless maybe they're saying, okay, I'm thinking maybe people are thinking, oh, because of the way the rack up of the life went. Because that's what happened there. I got a life from a rack up, not from me hitting start. Alright, library. Let's see how this is on hard. You know what? I've gotten far enough. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I am going to put the save state down. But I'm going to try and go through this without it. Now, yeah, the A's, those are the... You thought those were bad on normal. Oh, it looks like I went through him. Picture here showing how to go through him and how to not take a hit. I'm not gonna complain. I hate these things. Because they have a really erratic pattern and they bounce all over the place. Oh, there's a plane there. Okay. So far, we're doing okay. I'm wondering how it's different here. I don't... Oh, right! The way the... Oh, they keep bouncing further. Uh-oh. I don't have much health. That's where I'm getting nervous now. Ugh. It's jumping right there, so alright. In that case, knowing where they're gonna land or where they're gonna fly over towards. There we go. In this case, I'm also just inching my way through because I don't... Yeah, there's way more of those gummy fish around here. I just hope... Are they gonna pop up on the... Yeah, they are gonna pop up on this. I should have known. Okay. Ugh. In this case, just stay high and don't go down. Made it. Thank God. Alright, let's see how the study room is hard. Thank God. That's done. So actually, I'm doing alright now. I have 5 tries. Only 1 bit of health. So if I get hit again, I'm dead. I'm kind of resigned to it, honestly, at this point. No, I'm holding on to this, because remember, you're invincible when you're swinging on the rope of any kind. No! Except now, I said, hey, I don't want to bounce on that thing. Now I gotta. Because I don't have any apples to hit him with. Yeah, you have to be dead on to make that. Thank God I got that. But Jesus. Yeah, because look what's right there. They're right where the books are. So now I gotta wait for him to go. Have him come over, bounce on him, and fall down. Oh, shit. Alright, so yeah, the enemy placement, that's where this is getting hard. And I don't have apples to help. So just wait to get to the edge and bounce him. I'm getting nervous, like, I don't want to hit him, but I know I gotta. There we go. Or, I got an idea. I was gonna say, yeah, screw this. I'll just bounce him and go. And now I am gonna use the trick of saying, or not the trick, so much the strategy of going up there. There is health up there still, isn't there? I don't remember, honestly. It's been a while since I've done this. No, it's not there anymore. Like, okay, so the health isn't there. You know what? I'm not going in the teacup. Sorry. Oh, oh. No, it's checkpoint potential. So, yeah, you know, we are going in the teacup. I was saying, no, I'm not going to do it. My first thought was, no, I don't want to, you know, not show the teacup on hard. But then you know, deny you of the full look at this game. And I said, I don't want to take the risk. And I was like, wait a second, no, it's worth taking the risk because then I can get a checkpoint for this. Okay, good. Oh, shit. Yeah, that wasn't good, but again, checkpoint. I'll take that. Now, I could also go that other room. I don't think I can take the chance. I don't want to. 'Cause I'm doing well so far. Jesus Christ, that was tight. Ooh, okay, it starts going off quicker than it did before. Yeah, we're going here. Oh, no. Oh, thank God I didn't hit that. No, hey, yeah. I am going in there. Yeah, the tea will save me. Oh, apples. Okay, that's good. Not that's really gonna help me now, but... They're there, at least. They were more helpful earlier. I mean, okay, that will help. That's not necessarily true. I can say, yeah, A is for apple. Go away. I can toss the apple at that thing. I'll do that. Oh, the mason jar is maybe blocking him. Okay, that's good. Alright, boss. On one hit. Can we do this? This is also a place where a lot of my attempts at this stops. Right, because if he does that, I'm not going to be able to bounce his head. Oh no. That was lucky. Oh no. It's too early. Oh no, it went that way. Yeah, I'm gonna lose all my lives to him. And if I do that, I think I might just reload the save state, because shit. Yeah, there you go, so that's that. You know what, I am gonna reload the save state. I'll take this penalty. I'll say I'm gonna have to beat this level again. Alright, so I am going the save state method because I may as well, otherwise we're never beating this game. I didn't necessarily promise completely legitimate. Okay, I gotta do this. It's like when, I'll say this, it's like when I did Joe, Jam, and Earl a couple months ago. AJ42 openly said to me, I told him later, because he'd seen the show, but he didn't see the end of it. He had something he had to do. And he said, did you use save states if you got game over? It's like, yes, I did. Like, thank God you did that. I was like, he said, yeah, that's what you kind of have to. It's like, look, I tried. I got, shit, pretty far going the normal way. But he said eventually, he's like, you know what, you're right, this game can get so hard, I'm not gonna blame you for doing that. In this case, I've beaten the game twice already as far as how it is, so this case is more just about going through on hard. And showing exactly what the struggle is. Yeah, why did I do that? Because I said I knew the pattern there. Like, ow! Oh, okay, never mind. The milk is not an instant kill. I guess I said it was earlier, but alright, it isn't. At least I got to show that. Oh no. Just stay high. Do not go down there. Oh, it looks like it bounced on him, but alright, there you go. We're dead again. It's funny, I feel like I can be more reckless now that I have a safety net. It was like, well, no, maybe that's a bad thing that way. It's also why I'll say this, I may as well at least give, ouch, a mention to this. The reason why I won't necessarily go the save state route all the time with the game is because, well, I want to give that perspective. I don't want to necessarily just use that completely, like, completely abuse it. But I also want to give a sense of, you know, being prepared for something, although this is my choice. So in that case, I can kind of handle this game any way I damn well please, so I'm fine with just doing it this way. So I gave it a try as far as going the whole way, got to the library as far as it legitimately got to the licorice dragon as far as the boss, and then died to him. That is amongst as far as I've gotten on my normal plays of this, my normal attempts at this. Whoa. At least get through this. No. Alright, I'll try one more time, and I think if I can't... I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily want to force this too much. I said I'm gonna give it a shot. Oh no, the A's already killed me. I might just say, oh, you know what, I'm gonna cut loose, and that'll be it. I think I kind of made the point, saying, like, hey, this game can go from, I can beat it in 10 minutes to, good lord, I can't beat this game now, as far as it for the hard difficulty. So yeah, it's talk about a perfect coverage, and at least I'll go into that again, which is, talk about covering the gamut of difficulty of people who Never played platforms before, or children, or whatever that might be, or never played video games before even, as far as on practice. Then normal way, saying, okay, this is how it is normally as far as playing the game. I guess the intended way as far as like the full experience. It's hard, yeah, for certain cases, but also cases that with some practice and some perseverance you'll be able to get through. And then hard is like, okay, this is what we got. You better be dead on. You better have been playing these games all your life, and even if you have, yeah, you might not get through. I mean, I said, I beat Contra Hardcore every path of that thing, and then this game is the one I can't do it on. The one I know better. But I know it's also a different kind of difficulty, so if nothing else, giving that experience of what that's all about. There that is, I don't care as far as what that is. Stay high in the air and it'll be alright. Now we're out. Thank God. I'll say this when it comes to a save state case, if I get far enough on this, I will do it on the next world. I will not do it on the individual parts of this world. I think that's a fair case. Oh no, I missed that. If only I had apples. Alright, but there you go. Yeah, you basically hit him on the edge. In that case, I can also hit him on the edge, or I can just screw it as bounce and go. Yeah, the bounce and go method seems like that's the better way to manage this. Yeah, let the plane go. You know... You know, I should take this. I was gonna say, do I take this? Also, it's worth pointing out, if I do die, I actually start back in the teacup as well. So it's a checkpoint when you're in here, and it's also a checkpoint when you come out. Although I've actually had pretty good luck not dying in here, at least so far. Oh, there you go. I just had to say it. But it is a benefit saying at least I die here and I come back here as opposed to going the other way. And it is optional coming here, so you don't have to, but it also gives you an incentive for coming in here, not just the fact you're getting points, but you can say, oh yeah, if I die, I at least either start back at this level again, or I come out here and I start right at the cup. You know, I'm gonna take that other path, I think, because I do need some health. Or some other, insurance policy. Oh no. I don't even know there's health down here. Is there? There is. If I can get up there. Come on, A. I've actually had pretty good luck doing that. I didn't have as good luck doing that when I played this a couple years ago. Oh, there you go. Yeah, the A's are coming on the milk. That can't be healthy. Oh! What's it? Vitamin A? Ow! No, vitamin D is the milk case. Although... I'll have an edit down here if milk has vitamin A in it as well. Maybe it has a little bit. Oh, no, there's the apple. Yeah, I don't want to go... In this case, yeah, let the mason jar block them. Or, okay, now they're walking past it, so alright, it inhibits their jump. So that's good. Alright, got to the Lakers Dragon again, let's try this. Oh no. Oh no. It's the case that I want to try and jump, so if he does the curve up, I can hit him. Those are the cases he doesn't always do that. Ow. Yeah, because if he does, then he's just gonna go straight and I can't hit him. Oh no, the milk is gonna get me. Or maybe he's really close. I don't know. Yeah, I know, you keep saying that. I'll do one more try, and if I can't do it this time, I'll show off some random odds and ends, and I think that's gonna be the show for tonight. Now this is gonna be long anyway, so... Okay, I can also just walk past them, that can help. So nothing else, I'll tell you this. Me doing this multiple times is giving me better strategies or helping explain better ideas for myself, and I guess to all of you watching, of how do you handle certain tasks in this game. Particularly the A's. Like, what's the best way to manage them? And I said, okay, maybe walking underneath them is a good case. I always get a sense of, I just want them dead. I just want them gone. Maybe in that case, it was better just to walk underneath. Oh no. Okay, ow. Yeah, it's the first milk bottle, though. I also seem like... Okay, I'm realizing this, which is that where are the trouble spots I'm seeing in this level for me? And they are... the first milk bottle, the boss, of course, and... well, the A's. But I might have found a way around them. Blech. They're just there. I don't even want to bother hitting them. I just want to get out of the way. Okay, it did look like I came out of the bounce because I hit the ground. Alright. Yeah, honestly, I think the only other odds and ends I'll show off on this really are what happens when you get a game over on a difficulty that lets you continue. Or as the manual puts it, you can't continue on hard modes. Like, yeah, they're not screwing around. Ah. I mean, in this case, I don't care as far as that. There we go, got it. Oh no. Okay, this is the easier part, honestly, above anything else. Okay, I killed it underneath the milk. I never had that happen before. Okay, that's cool. Hey, I'll take it for that, you know. Oh no! I think I killed him at the same time I died. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm not feeling... You know, oh, Mickey, let's go drink. Let's go take a milk bath. Sorry. Alright, yeah, sorry about that, Mickey. Yeah, we did what we could, but I'll also show, you know, I'll show it on, well, let me look at the save state I have of something else. That's the end of the game. That's, as far as on normal. That's, right before the boss of the clock tower. Yeah, I don't have much as far as this, because what I want to do is I want to... I'm gonna put it on normal. I'm gonna get a game over intentionally because I want to show what happens if you have continues. And on hard, you can't get any, even, as far as that. You don't get any as far as it, and there's no way to earn them. Just live. So in that case, Mickey's gonna make his walk. I'm gonna just show that, and then I think what I'll do is... No, I think... I'm trying to think of what music do I want to end on as far as tonight's. I might just want to end on this music, because yeah, the Enchanted Forest music is so beautiful. And one thing I also probably should mention is that the other remixes of it, of which, of course, there's one in Castlevania's remake. Wait, why am I doing this? I want myself dead. And also the one in Power Evolution from 3DS. I'll have a link below as far as that, because there's a video I saw that had all of them, as far as every version. So this could be the way as far as when you first play it, but as I said, if nothing else, it's also showing that the thing about the difficulty in this game, for all the difficulties it gives you, is that it gives you a lot of prep to kind of build your skills up so you can get to the point of getting to hard eventually. Okay, so this is the same thing as far as that, but unlike hard... Oh my god, continue! You push directional control left or right as far as this. You can walk towards new game saying, okay, I'm gonna start a new game. Or go over here and you get to continue. And And I believe, you know what, I want to see something else. I want to check one other thing, because I don't remember how the continue works. I'm going to beat the first level, and then I'm going to try again. And, yeah, at that point I'll have the pit, so I'll be able to fall down that. And then see, I'm trying to remember if it puts you at the beginning of the level you died at, or at the beginning of the world entirely. And the only difference between normal and practice as far as the continues are concerned is you get 4 of them on practice and then 2 on normal. I guess on practice they might assume that, oh yeah, you could die, although you kind of have to try. Even if you've never played a game before, like, I know people have sometimes said, I'm not very good at games. Or I'm not a gamer. To say, I don't know necessarily if that's the case or not. I think you'd be fine to start something like that. But in that case, I'm gonna fall. And you do get that. Oh! Actually, wait. Right. There's one thing I was gonna show, which is. Well, first I'm gonna show the fall again. You get the. Ooh! Which is what they also do in World of Illusion. I always loved that for some reason. It looked kind of scary in a certain way, like Mickey screaming about how he's falling or something like that. But even that sound just made it sound, I don't know, it kind of cushioned the blow to a certain extent compared to like the drowning animation in the Sonic games. But no, I don't want the life. You know, I still don't want the life. I'm gonna fall down that pit and then I'm gonna let myself get run over by the apple. That was the thing I want to show off. And that'll be the end as far as that, and I'll test how it handles the continue. And then I'll have it go on the music here, because I love this music in particular. I mean, I love it all, but especially this one. If there's any music that really is a good summation of the game as a whole, it's this. Yeah, you get flattened. I love that attention to detail as well. To make you just go stand here and just take the flattening. Also, when you jump on the hill, by the way, you'll automatically do the rundown. But if you're underneath that, you'll be safe. But in this case, I don't want to be safe. You know, there you go. I had a race as far as the tiny apple and the big one. The tiny one won. Okay, so there you go. And if you do try to continue again, or if you get another game over, that's going to be the end of it. Okay, so it's just the beginning of the level. Okay, awesome. And you know, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I have an idea where I'm going to end instead. I'll end here, but I'm gonna defeat the birds and just have Mickey swinging on the rope. And, you know, I'll have him swinging on the rope. Oh, yeah, kill the bird. I don't want him there. I'll be close to where the mushroom is, where the life is. Or let's take him out that way. There you go. Okay. There you go, a nice action shot as far as Mickey swinging into action for this wonderful game. Yeah, I couldn't beat it on hard, but I did show you what the struggle was. I did kind of go into the machinations, what that's all about. And I had a wonderful time coming back to Castle Illusion. A little bit of a short but sweet show. And this is about having 2 shows I'm going to have to edit next week because of this. Probably a better idea to kind of go about this way. And also, because I've done basically everything about this except beat the game on hard. But if nothing else, yeah, you might want to use the save states if you're going to be doing that for this, but having said that, I still am not upset as far as that, and I still had a great time playing this game. And I get to go in final thoughts on this game again, because I feel like I started that way, and just kind of going the whole way as far as this. I love this game so much. This is... We've mentioned this before when it comes to childhood favorites of ours on the show, whether it's been all of you in the chat, or guests, or myself. The case that... There's a question about what is nostalgia, really, as far as that. Is that a case where sometimes that might cloud your judgment on something, and also what differentiates the idea of when your judgment gets clouded by that, and when it's a case where, no, it really is a true case, and it's a case where you can kind of come back to this and have a great time with it, and it still holds up. Nikki, I think, put it best when she was saying about a lot of the humongous games she plays, the humongous entertainment stuff, like Pop Pop Goes to the Moon and things like that, saying that these games still hit strong, whereas there's other ones I remember liking when I was a kid, and I know why I liked them, but coming back to them now, it feels just like I'm returning to my childhood, but a case where I'm able to look at this from a lot of context and say, this is a great game, something that would be great for a child to play nowadays. And I'm that way with this game as well. And a case, as I mentioned, of early Sega Genesis, before Sonic, although I think I kind of played Sonic sort of. I knew about Sonic around the time of this. Actually, I think I might have played this before Sonic, like, just barely. But a case of saying Mickey Mouse in gaming, like, this game, for some reason, it has this power to itself in terms of everything it does. It's so unique, it's so transporting, it looks beautiful, the music is lovely, as you're hearing right now, the sound effects are great, it definitely captures the perspective of this enterprise, as everything going on with the story and everything going on with the sights and all that, and it plays great. It's simple to get into, it's hard to master, especially when we put it on hard, but it's a case where it really covers the perspective of all of its difficulties in a way that I think this is a game for anybody. If I would say, honestly, to this, if you've never played a game before and you're looking for a good video game to start with of any kind, I'd start with this one. It's like, maybe nowadays you think, well, you're going to see more advanced technology in games, or even more advanced Mickey Mouse games, which recently there was a free trial on Switch and Switch 2 that's since expired, but it was for a game I didn't play, and I was kind of hearing maybe it was similar to this. It isn't. It's Disney Illusion Island, which is on all the systems, but it's like almost a Rayman Origins or Legends like platforming game. It's really funny with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Minnie Mouse and Goofy. And you can play it with 4 players. And it's a case where maybe nowadays you might want to play something like that, but also something like this. I don't know. For me, I think that this is something that I don't think anybody would look at this game, look at what we're seeing here, and say, oh, this game looks old, I don't want to bother playing it, or oh no, I'm not going to be able to grasp it, even a young child. I sincerely believe that. I sincerely believe that anybody looking at this like, oh my god, it's Mickey Mouse, look at this, I want to play this, even though it's as old as it is. But then they hear the stuff with the music, oh, wow, sounds beautiful. And then you tell them it's from 1990s, like, maybe that's old, like, whoa, this still looks really good nowadays. I mean, it's also that case that I said, I meant it when I said, you know what, they could sell this to me for $60 in a box, and I'd buy it, and I wouldn't say, you know what, I'm getting shortchanged. Because we sometimes talk about the idea of length of a game for price, because we paid $60 for this thing back in the day when it was brand new, although in my case, when I bought this used, I bought like $20, which is about how much the cartridge goes nowadays loose, although complete you can also get like $30-40, so not too bad as far as getting a copy of this on Sega Genesis itself. This Genesis Mini is an option as well. That is a case where it's about $80 to $100+ as far as on eBay, because they don't make the device anymore. But it is on here. There's also a bunch of other games. Actually, maybe that's one thing I should end on. Okay, I did this last time, so you know what? I'm not going to do that. We're just going over everything that's on this unit. But I could do that for another time, honestly, just to also have that going on the tech as well. I'll pick something else and I'll do that. Just say, hey, let's give a brief look again about everything that's on this unit, because it's a good unit as far as it. Even with some sound delay that goes with it, which honestly I didn't really notice too much until I was kind of digging into it more. And even then, it's not something that really bothered me that much. Where it seems like, oh yeah, they really screw up the emulation, because you know I'm a hawk when it comes to that, especially on games I know. I was like, no, this one and everything on this did pretty well. In fact, I'll say this. I think the Genesis Mini 1 is better than Genesis Mini 2, because I think it doesn't have as many of the emulation issues that one had, particularly for Rystar on that unit. I was not happy about that. And of course, that they censored Streets of Rage 3 for its Japanese release. That was something like, I'm not okay with that. But that's a good unit as far as getting it. It is on Saturn as far as the Japanese release of Sega Ages I Love Mickey Mouse. You doesn't get Quackshot in the box as far as that, but it's like $150, and you're going to have a modern or a method to play Japanese games on your Sega Saturn if you're going to go that direction. The PS3 way is not available anymore because there was a pre-order bonus. And there's also the Game Gear and Sega Master System versions, which are totally different. At some point, I do want to show those. And I guess then also, I'll say this. Point is, buy this game. If you've not played this game, buy this game. If you haven't played this game in a while, now is the perfect time to celebrate 35 years of it. And let me tell you something. It's a game that is aged like fine wine. Like maybe a fine Pinot Grigio, because I'm pouring myself a glass. I'll tell you, this is one of those games that you do enjoy as far as an adult, with a nice adult beverage this way, if you are the case of either of age of that, or case like, oh, if you do drink that way. I mean, look, I don't drink a lot, but it's a case where I'll drink every so often, you know, in the case of, you know, bringing that class. And that's the thing I also say about when it comes to the show, saying, like, we can play a game that's for kids like this, but like, let's also put it in a modern context this way. Let's kind of look at it maybe in that deep way that people look at literature and movies. And honestly, I think a game like this is totally deserving of that. And something where, yeah, Mickey Mouse definitely, this game has aged like a fine wine, no question. And cheers as far as that. Definitely wasn't doing this back when I was playing this game in the 90s. But also giving that perspective when you're growing up now and looking at this and saying, as a great game and still one that I still hold near and dear to my heart, and that'll never change. As far as our next return to the Illusion series, I don't know what I want to do next. We did do World of Illusion already. We could second chance that. I'm thinking maybe of doing a speedrun case of that again, because I did speedrun the Mickey Mouse portion of that, where my brother Inherent Knox and I played it a couple years ago. I could do the Donald method. I could say also, hey, do you want to speedrun the 2-player mode, see how that goes? We could. Also enhance the tech, as far as how that is, maybe. We would probably use this for the same reason, as far as because World of Illusion's on this unit as well, and that's the other thing also on the Mini 1. They did actually go back to Disney to get the rights for this game and World of Illusion, so I gotta give them credit for that one. They're great games. They're part of Sega's Genesis heritage, and maybe a case where when they came out, you might not have thought that. I didn't know if I would have thought that 30 so years afterwards, 35 as it is now, but it ended up being that way. So something said about that. So we could do the thing as far as World of Illusion, going back to that, but I think we probably should do a different one. And for that, well, I do want to show Land of Illusion, which is on Game Gear. I love that game as well. It's another one I grew up with, but I don't have the method to show Game Gear yet. I'm looking into, as I mentioned 5 years ago, I just haven't done because I focused on other things as far as the show or other things myself, saying, let me get a Retron 5 because the attachment for you can put Game Gear games into it. I'm still looking into that method because I think that's the best method. That is, unless there's something else better for a modern take of being able to take my Game Gear games, put them into a unit, put them onto a TV, and show it to all of you. It's also why I'm hoping when that Virtual Boy attachment comes out next year for the Switch Online, that either the $100 big device thing, I can connect an HDMI cable into that, or the cardboard one will let you do that as well, or I can put it into like a custom dock or something. Please, Nintendo, let me stream those games to people. I want to show them. And that's always the question on the portable units. That's me with 3DS, because with 3DS I have to mod the console as far as getting a way of it playing on a television. It's a case where it's an expensive proposition, number one. It's also something where I have to send my 3DS off to people to make it happen. Like, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that, but also cases where I know that'd be the only method to show something like Epic Mickey the Power of Illusion, or other stuff on 3DS, or DS as is. Or stuff I got in the war chest from 3DS as far as Virtual Console and things like that may have not been released. But that's sometimes the challenge as far as, actually, the ones as far as portable that I have the easiest time going with are the Game Boy line and the PSP, as it is. Because I found the PSP method and I found the Game Boy lines, which are the Super Game Boy and the Game Boy Player. But I'd love to do that. I want to figure this stuff with Game Gear. If I can do that, or when I can do that, I will show those off as far as Land of Illusion. I'd love to play Legend of Illusion. I've never played that one. Nocturne has. She quite likes it. And play the 8-bit version of this. Look, if I loved this one, I grew up when I was growing up and seeing this, oh, it's on Game Gear. I was wanting to play it on Game Gear too. I never did. But it's a case where I'd love to. So I definitely love to do it for the show. But I think next time we come back, I guess we either do the remake of this, that being Castle Illusion, the 2013 version, which I have the Xbox 360 version of, run through the Xbox Series X, because it's backwards compatible on that system, and you still download it on all the systems it's on, that way included. And that's one option. Or the other option is a game that's not exactly an Illusion game, but it's by the same people, and it is the next one that came out after this. And honestly, I might do this one next. And that is Quackshot, starring Donald Duck, which came out in 1991. It's a lot of the same people who made this. It doesn't play the same way as this. It is a platforming game, yes, but it's also a case you're Donald Duck, you're on like an Indiana Jones style adventure. You have a plunger gun that you can upgrade with abilities, and as you go to different areas, you realize, oh, wait a minute, I can't get to a certain area, so you have to come back. It's kind of a bit of a Metroid-like, in a weird way, which I never really kind of put thought to myself until I was seeing something, I think it was the Sega guys who did a video on that. I'll link to that below when I edit, where they're kind of emphasizing, this is like a Metroid, like, you know, you're right. It's not exactly an interconnected world the way the Metroid is, but it's a case where you go to one level, like, oh, wait a minute, I can't get past here, but you put down your flag and you're able to call your plane out and go somewhere else. It's actually like Mega Man in the sense that you can select the level you want to go to, and it kind of creates a lot of different ways to route the game. It has the same great Disney presentation and aura of itself that this does. This game actually, mainly, I came to that one late. Another one I wanted to play when I was growing up, but I didn't. But when I played it years ago, actually about, was like 2013 was the first time I played it. I said, yeah, this game's really cool too, and I'd love to show it. So maybe, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll show that one. I might show Quackshot next. As far as it's not exactly an illusion game, but it is kind of tied to it. So I think that might be a fair case as far as that for it. But I think that's going to be the idea of it, and that's going to be the end of Super Bowl Game Saturday for tonight, but we're Super Bowl Game Almost Saturday, and we're going to have a show tomorrow. As I said, this is our second chance on Castle of Illusion, but tomorrow night, we have another second chance. Give our final one as far as the monthly ones, and then going forward, we'll have second chances every so often as opportunities arise, and also as case of people coming in and saying, hey, I want to do a game maybe you already did. For example, Ed Weck wants to do Donkey Kong Country 2, Diddy's Kong Quest. I didn't forget it for its anniversary on December 5th this year, as far as 30 years. But he said, that's my favorite one of all of them. And I said, you know, I played this game already 5 years ago. You want to have this? And yeah, at some point I do want to have it. So I said, all right, we'll delay it as far as doing the show later. But I'm thinking that 30th anniversary now, so I haven't forgotten it, just to indicate that. But we'll come back to this every so often, and I can think of some cases where it'd be worth doing that for some stuff anyway. But tomorrow night's going to be our 12th and final one as far as 2025 is concerned. Going to be for Shadow the Hedgehog, playing the Xbox version. It's also on the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube. It came out tomorrow, 20 years ago, to a, well, case where I played it and I said, this might be the first Sonic game I've ever played that I think is a bad game. And keep in mind, I played Sonic Labyrinth growing up, and I also think Sonic Labyrinth is a better game than this. And it was something where I was kind of shocked. But also, in my case, I made the mistake, or maybe, I guess, a good thing as far as this. It's a half mistake, half not mistake, of renting the Xbox version of Half-Life 2 alongside of it. Saying, that game's awesome, I'm gonna play this. What is this? This game's awful. And not just because I played Half-Life 2, just because on its own perspective, I didn't like it. And we showed it when we played it a couple of years ago, but one thing when we played it, we had a great time playing it though, because our chat, all of you on our best chat on Twitch, you came around and said, oh, let's go through the story. I said, let's go through one play of the story. I played through the game off screen to open up the final story, but I said, chat, your choice. Where are we going? We have choices of how we can make Shadow, as far as a character, going through the paths, as far as going on missions. You made the decision on where to go before the final story basically ruined your narrative. Sorry to say, but by getting all A ranks on everything, which I have done off screen as far as this, you unlock expert mode. It is actually a sequel to Shadow the Hedgehog in terms of story, because, spoiler warning, at the end of that game, we defeated Black Doom, but in Sonic 06 that came out the year after that, Shadow has joined Gun. You're like, wait a second, why is he joined Gun if, you know, they were so antagonistic to him? Well, first off, at the end of Shadow the Hedgehog's main story, they say, okay, fine, we're gonna ease off as far as Shadow. And even the Gun commander says, you know what, I have a proposition for you as far as, or this is kind of indicate that. So Shadow's gonna start his training, and that means that we're gonna go through every single level of the game, including all the ones we didn't show, that are basically rearranged so they have harder layouts of enemies and things, kind of like the expert mode or the hard mode of this. But unlike the main game where you had to go around and choose what your mission was going to be, usually of collecting things or destroying things, sometimes getting the gold ring, this one is mostly getting the gold ring almost every case. And the only cases where you have to either collect things or help the researchers as far as giving them health packets in the Doom. Yeah, it's the Doom, I think it is. No, yeah, it is. They put all of the health canisters at the end of the level, so you don't actually have to do it. So basically, it's like going through all the levels straight. Kind of like how Sonic was as far as the other 3D games, like Heroes, for example, or the Sonic Adventure games. But also cases where you're going to hear words of encouragement from our friends and compatriots as far as that. So we're going to go in full voice actor discussion as far as this for that as well. And see, maybe after 20 years, maybe with Sonic also being in a better place than he was a couple years ago. Especially with the release of Sonic X Shadow Generations last year, and also Sonic Racing Cross Worlds this year. It's been very well received. And what I've seen and briefly played of it, it's quite good. Maybe with 20 years out, and also with the case of the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie that came out last year that was really good, maybe Shadow the Hedgehog's better in retrospect than we might have thought, or maybe I thought, maybe you thought, and maybe running the expert mode is going to reveal that more. Because it's like, yeah, you didn't like doing the collecting as far as that. Maybe without it, maybe it makes it better. But will it? Well, you'll see tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's going to be the case of what it is. And then the only other thing I'll briefly mention is we're also going to have a show next Friday. But unlike this week, it's only going to be one show. It's going to be a Disney game as well. A 16-bit one. That's going to be Pinocchio for the Super Nintendo. That's going to be on November 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll reiterate that tomorrow, but I just want to indicate that now, just before we head off into the night with this wonderful, dreamy music. But yeah, there you go. That is our second chance on Castle Illusion. I had such a great time playing this. Thank you so much for watching the show. Thank you so much for joining our best channel on Twitch. I love doing the show. I love bringing all this stuff to you, but also what you bring to me, and I really appreciate it. And I can't thank you enough, and I never will stop thanking you for sure. Because clearly I love doing this enough. I'm giving you 12 hours of content from last week as far as our Switch 2 Chronicles videos, and also this week I'm giving you 2 shows. I'm definitely looking forward to doing it as far as Shadow the Hedgehog tomorrow night, so I think with that, I wish you a good rest of your night, a good start of this weekend, and hopefully a good Saturday as far as tomorrow. I will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on November 15th for the 20th anniversary of Shadow the Hedgehog and its second chance, final one of the year as far as this. Till then, keep being awesome, have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow, everybody.